control the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
The high-stakes game of musical chairs enters its last round. Mumbai sit at the sides, smug with a bag of popcorn. Chennai are just in it for the drama. But for the rest, 6 into 3 won't go. Who will be sitting pretty when the music stops? Welcome to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of the last IPL doubleheader Sunday of the season, with the playoff races absurdly tight. So Mumbai Indians we know will top the league stage. Chennai Super Kings we know are out. But for the rest, 2 points separate 6 teams, and with 4 games to go, the last round of group stage matches to go. Anything almost is possible in this most bizarre and wonderfully thrilling of IPL seasons, where the lead has traded hands time and time again, and nobody seems to want to stamp their authority on the tournament. I am Nakul M. Pandey, I'm your host for today, and I'm joined for Game 1 between the Chennai Super Kings and the Kings 11 Punjab in Abu Dhabi by Andy Ward.
Hello.
And Tony Bishop.
Hey, good morning.
We'll get into what our assembled panel thinks of what is going to unfold, and also the various permutations, which is a word you will hear quite a lot today, I fear. But first, toss and team news. Chennai have won the toss and have elected to field. They have made 3 changes. Faf du Plessis is fit again, so he was always fit, but he's able to play in a physical sense. He comes in for Shane Watson. Imran Tahir and Shardul Thakur come in for Mitchell Santner and Kardan Sharma. For Kings 11, the big news, I guess, is that Glenn Maxwell's been left out of the playing 11 after Kings 11 had a winning streak broken the other day. This late charge from Kings 11, who looked dead and buried 2 weeks ago. Arshdeep Singh is also out. Mayank Agarwal comes back in to make the already top-heavy top order even more top-heavy, and Jimmy Neesham comes in to the lower middle order. So Chennai line up with Ruturaj Gaikwad and Faf du Plessis opening, Ambati Rayudu at 3, MS Dhoni, Jagdishan and Ravindra Jadeja and Sam Curran floating somewhere in the middle order. Shardul Thakur and Deepak Chahar as the Indian pace attack. Imran Tahir and Lungi Ngidi, the South African fast bowler. For Kings 11, Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul resume their opening partnership. Chris Gale slots into his new role at number 3, which he's performed pretty well. Nicholas Puran, Mandeep Singh, Deepak Huda, Jimmy Neesham, Chris Jordan, M. Ashwin, Mohammad Shami and Ravi Bishnoi. So, those permutations. RCB and Delhi, who are on, who both lost very heavily the other day, sit on 14 points. Then the Sunrisers, and I'm going in net run rate order from top to bottom. Sunrisers Hyderabad and Kings 11 Punjab are either side of that playoff bubble. Sunrisers sit fourth. Then it's Kings 11, Rajasthan Royals and Kolkata Knight Riders, who play later today. Whoever wins that has a chance, whoever loses that is done. But the situation as it is for this game, Chennai are out and are just here for the fun, just here for the drama. They are the loose horse in the Grand National Field. Kings 11 Punjab, by virtue of the fact that RCB and Delhi lost so heavily the other day, have a better net run rate than either of them. So, barring something absolutely extraordinary later today, a win for Kings 11 today against Chennai should see them into the playoffs. But they will be in position 3 or 4 because RCB and Delhi play each other on Tuesday, I think that is. On Monday, in fact, tomorrow. So whoever wins that finishes second. But this is, I think, what they call in on the last day of a Premier League season, helicopter day, where the cameras are poised between grounds waiting to see where the story is. What a day.
I've heard that one before. Yes, excellently done. That was all present and correct. Only to add that out of the other teams, the Sunrisers have much the best run rate. So if they win, I'd say they're almost certainly through. Agree. Kings 11 with a win today should go through. I don't think they have to break their back to get their run rate up. I think they should just focus on
the scenario in which they win and don't qualify basically relies on the Sunrisers winning and Kolkata or Rajasthan winning incredibly emphatically later today.
Yes.
Which seems unlikely even in this most bizarre of IPL seasons. But Kings 11 were absolutely dead a couple of weeks ago.
It seemed to coincide with bringing Chris Gale in. He just seemed to give him a bit more oomph after KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal were scoring runs, but Rahul in particular not necessarily very quickly. But they are very top 4 heavy, but it's a very good top 4, Rahul, Mayank, Gale and Puran. And I'm just perplexed by this decision to bring Jimmy Neesham in. I'm really not sure what he's bringing, especially when we're leaving out Glenn Maxwell, whatever form he's in.
Well,
That's
indeed.
Quality of tweet.
Well, indeed. Well, quite, yes. I mean, Maxie's pretty engaging himself, to be honest. And he's been very useful with the ball, actually, Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah.
Jimmy Neesham has barely been
more
used.
with the bat in this tournament.
Yes, indeed. But Tony, I mean, it is quite remarkable that we've come to the last round of group stages with 2 points separating 6 teams.
I mean, yes, it is. That said, you've only got 8 teams, and by dint of the structure of the tournament, they're quite often fairly evenly matched. I think Chennai Super Kings are very interesting at the moment. Dead buried, can't qualify, but they win their last 2 games. So that freedom, all of a sudden, of having been, very much the IPL whipping boys for probably the first time ever in their history. Suddenly they discover a winning streak just with the pressure totally off them. MS Dhoni said, I'm not retiring, don't even think about it, which I think is kind of interesting. So yeah, it's one of those situations where you do feel anything could happen, and anything could happen because one team is under heavy pressure for a result and one team doesn't care about the result, just seems to be setting out to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, which was very much not the case earlier in the season, where Chennai looked looked tense and looked like they were carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, but they brought in a couple of Jagdishan and Gaikwad have re-energized the team a little bit.
Has
Sam Curran,
Jagdishan really done anything?
he's been useful. He's at least sort of given some energy to the middle order. Certainly he couldn't do much worse than Kedar Jadhav was doing in the middle order.
No. Well, I don't think we want to read too much into it. I mean, over 13 games, if CSK had turned one loss into a win, which can happen because of a dropped catch or, a bounce of a ball at any point, they'd be right in this. It just looks a bit worse because they've been out of the tournament for 2 games. As Tony says, there are a lot of teams. Oh, it's my favourite umpire. There are a lot of teams of about the same standard, and I think it says a lot for this IPL that one of RCB and Delhi is going to finish second when they look very, very flawed.
Yeah, I mean Delhi, who won 7 of their first 9 games but haven't won since in any of the recent 4, and RCB, who have addressed some of the flaws of previous years but not all of them. Yes, those umpires are Virendra Sharma and the rockstar Pashim Partak with the long shoulder-length hair. Chris Gaffney is the TV umpire. Ulhas Gandhi is the reserve umpire, and Manu Nair is the match referee. Reminder, of course, that we'll be here for every ball of not just this game, but also of the Kolkata Knight Riders versus the Rajasthan Royals from Dubai, which we hope will have a little bit of time between this game finishing and that game starting. But this is the IPL, so who knows? Chennai won the toss and elected to bowl, so we'll jingle up the Kings 11 opening batters and then we'll hand over to Andy for ball by ball.
Because lately, Indian openers have been crapping, so drop them all. Pick my and gaggle.
Yes, quite appropriate there. We have 2 jingles based on the Beatles and the Beatles tribute band.
Very good. KL Rahul by some distance the orange cap holder for top runs in this year's tournament. 641 compared to Shekhar Dhawan's 471.
Yep, he said himself before this game, it's my job for the other players to bat around me. Sometimes that has worked and sometimes it hasn't. Certainly more than once he's put up a sort of 45 or 40 that hasn't really helped their cause.
Overall strike rate for the season 130.54, which is okay when you're averaging 60.
Yeah, that does help. It's
going to be, you know who it's going to be opening for Chennai.
Deepak Chahar, Fleming loved the sky. Deepak Chahar, he bowled a few sky high. Did they come down? He somehow bowled his way to success.
And I'm going to shoot off and sync up Hot Mic.
Okay, just me to start then. Tony's getting his coffee. We could be in for some free forming to start this game, but fortunately, Deepak Chahar is about to run into bowl. Beautiful sunshine in Abu Dhabi, I think this one. He's got to slip in, bowls to Rahul, plays it out into the covers. In fact, it's just gone point side of cover. The sweeper is out there, and they will pick up 1 to get underway. Who's social mediaing to start
That's
with?
me.
Okay, anyone there?
There are. I will tell you in just a moment. I nipped off to get my coffee. You caught me on the hop.
Oh, literally on the hop.
Well, literally on the hop, or on the hob, probably. Muttley is with us, of course. Morning all. Switched from Church's live stream, supporting Kings 11 this match, love and sausages. There are plenty more. I shall get to them as we go.
Good. Here comes Chahar again. Third man is up. And in the air from Mayank. Oh, just clears mid-on. I think I was in Gidi diving across. Didn't get all of it. And he got just enough to invade that left hand.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
Ambati Raidu, I think.
Might have been Raidu, yes.
Unusual to see. Well, it's actually a long way away from him.
Yeah, it's further than we thought.
It's unusual to see Raidu at that position. He's usually at backward point somewhere. Yeah, slightly risky. Not risky, but slightly wafty, sort of lofty drive from Mayank Agarwal.
Didn't seem to be full commitment to that shot. Give Chahar, despite the 4, a bit of encouragement. Here he comes again. It's onto the pads and it's clipped out to mid-wicket and there'll be no run. A few moments. Just going to put my glasses on so I make sure I can see everything here. Give you a content warning for that.
Do you always do that? Or is this the first time since doing your commentary that you've done that?
I've done it once or twice just to make sure. It seems to be struggling to pick the ball up a little bit.
It's good to know, as far as our listeners are concerned, it's quite literally the blind leading the blind.
When your major pastime is watching television, glasses are going to happen.
On the pads again, and down to Fine Leg, and in fact Fine Leg can't get there, and that's another 4.
Yeah, if the first was a decent delivery that was waftily played out, that was a genuinely poor ball from Deepak Chahar, trying to get the ball to swing back into the right hand, but too far down leg.
He's maybe looking for some swing that isn't quite there. Having bowled a lot of away swing in my youth, you always have to let the first one go at some point, see if it swings or if it doesn't. If it doesn't, it's liable to be on the pads.
Yeah, it does usually get the ball to move away from the right-hander Deepak Chahar.
See what he's going to do with this one. He changes his line. Yeah, he does a bit. It's outside off stump and it's pushed out towards the point. Do another single. 10 for no wicket. 1 ball left in the first over.
Mayank Agarwal, we were talking about KL Rahul's strike rate. Mayank Agarwal's strike rate this season is 155.46, so the roll's very clear between the two of them.
And he scored plenty of runs as well.
398 sits 10th on the list.
You combine that with the strike rate though, and that's a very, very good return.
Yes, by some distance the best of the top 10.
Yeah. So that'll be Kings 11's plan. Get them off to a start, and then Gale and Puran come in, smash those 6s. Rahul, lovely cover drive. It is straight to the fielder though. That is the end of the over. It's 10 for no wicket. So who else is on the old social?
Leah, the drinks carrier, says, I'd pay good money to see a 40-style horror film about radiation-based experiments to create a super mathematician gone awry called Permutations. Jersey Oak says, even God has to wait for the IPL. Mog simply says, hello. He might also add, and I'm now allowed out free while all you are being put back indoors again.
Back in our cages.
Indeed. Yeah. Farong says, greetings all from a sultry and sticky Dakar. Probably the last time MS Dhoni and Gale will face off in a competitive cricket match unless they play LPL, CPL or BPL. A win for Punjab, and they should finish third. The final
Gale, Dhoni isn't going to play any overseas leagues unless the BCCI change their stance.
No, I think it's a big call to assume Gale won't get picked up in the IPL next year. I mean, we don't know what the auction situation is going to be, but watch that space.
Well, Kings 11 maybe thought he was past his best when they left him out for the first few games, but he's come in and proved otherwise. And it's going to be no change for the second bowler either. It's little Sam Curran.
Is he a better bowler? Sam Curran. What's his distinguishing feature? Sam Curran.
His distinguishing feature is that yellow headband which he's taken to wearing. That one is dropped down to point for no run.
Yeah, Sam Curran's been for a lot of the tournament. He played the sort of. You do get these players about once a season of the one standout in the diamond in the muck, I think you called them last week.
Season, yes, yeah.
But he's been sort of steadily joined by other performers through the latter part of the tournament, although far too late.
Yeah, and he's coming in again now to Mayank. A little bit of in-swing there. It's pushed up towards mid-off. KL Rahul a little bit slow setting off from the non-striker's end, but no damage. He'll pick up a single.
Sammy Curran is CSK's leading wicket taker, 13 wickets he's taken an economy rate of 8.22, which is not too bad considering he bowls largely in the power play.
Good, yeah.
Deepak Chahar is next on 12 with a very good economy rate actually of 7.46. Bowling hasn't been the issue.
No, maybe I've just seen him on a couple of bad days, but I'm surprised. I would have thought Chahar was higher. But, everyone gets picked up every now and then. MS Dhoni looking a bit quizzical. Oh, it's hard to tell behind his sunglasses. That's Curran's in again. That one is just half a bat, and he's just angled it enough to get it. Enough to Jadeja's right to surely pick up a single. Yes. Yeah, there was a little shot as the players came out. We saw MS Dhoni, Faf du Plessis, Imran Tahir and Sam Curran. It was like a lot of old club second teams where you had a lot of grizzled old timers and then the one youngster to do all the fielding.
I've played that role myself a few times.
The old timer or the youngster?
Well, yeah. No, my dad and some of his doctor friends set up a team.
Oh, wide-ish ball from Curran, and I'm thinking KL Mayank might have got a wide if he'd left it, but he threw a bat at it, towed it out to cover for no run.
My dad and some of his doctor friends set up a team when I was still at school. So me and my friends ended up being the scamperers.
Yes.
I did also playing club falls for Bronsbury. I was one game. I was the second oldest player on the team at 21.
Yes, that can definitely happen in fourth teams. Shoveled away into the leg side of Mayank, and the fielder is out in the deep. Throws it in. I played 4 or 5 years of lower league Middlesex League cricket, but I never did play at Bronsbury. Their paths never seemed to cross with ours.
Well, I never got to play at Bronsbury either because the first and second always.
That's fairly common. Yeah,
it's a nice ground, nice clubhouse too. We ended up playing at Rayners Lane a lot.
I played at Rayners Lane.
Or Uxbridge.
Yeah. Uxbridge, as in where Middlesex play.
Probably again not on the same track.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's
Rahul.
great.
Punches Jadeja, nice pick-up, but they should be an easy single anyway. Yeah, Rayners Lane though. Well, it's a venue.
It's a lot.
Remember the oddest team you've played? Must be a few. I'll tell you. I'll set you off as my start for 10. We used to play a side called Mokatra, who were basically all taxi drivers, and they'd always bat first because they could never guarantee exactly when their team would roll up because loads of them were off doing fairs and all come in. Literally, they jump out of the taxi in their whites and straight onto the pitch to bat. Sometimes.
I mean, that's how recreational cricket had to work this summer because you couldn't use the changing rooms.
Sure.
I played a few games for Lord Gnomes, who used to be Private Eye's staff team but are now a nomadic team, and we played a lot of very oddly assembled teams.
At college, we had an annual fixture against a team from Papworth Hospital who called themselves Papworth New Guinea.
Good.
Well, we're in the IPL. Crazy names. No one will ever beat the Royal Pune Supergiants. That's punched by Rahul to cover for no run. I expect half of these players where you think, that's it. You think that's bad. We played against a team called the Rising Pune Supergiants.
Well, I mean, the Kochi Tuskers Kerala RIP I think it's possibly even worse. Tuskers couldn't. I don't know. It's sort of like if a video game couldn't get the rights to a team called the Elephants.
Yes. I like the Molten Sultans. It rhymes.
Mm-hmm. It even rhymes if you pronounce it properly. The Multan Sultans. Very good.
Worst team name is the Dakar Dynamites, for reasons I'll come on to. Rahul punches that to cover and there's no run, which is because you can't have dynamites. You can have more dynamite, but you can't have dynamites.
It's true, actually. It's sort of like sheep.
Yes, the Dakar sheeps. Anyway, sorry about that. Not much going on the field, though, to distract us. These two batsmen are settling in. Could be a long day, so I'm sure we'll have some frippery to entertain you as we go.
I'm sure it'll be plenty of fireworks when Gale and Pooran are batting together.
Yep. Flashed away by Rahul, and even with my glasses I can barely see. That's gone for 6 over third man. Really reached out for it. That time it was the right decision not to let it go for a wide.
Smack it in the air. Smack it in the air. maximum.
It wasn't that wide when Deepak Chahar bowled it, and then it maybe just swung away and seamed away late. Really impressive for KL Rahul to be able to get as much bat as he did on that.
Yeah, it wasn't the middle. There was a bit of a top edge element, but I think that worked in his favour. Still lifted it over the third man boundary. 20 for no wicket. Chahar's in again, and again a touch aerial. It's down to backward point. They should pick up an easy one. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, big-ish boundaries here at Abu Dhabi, but that came off the bat pretty quickly from KL Rahul off the outside part of the bat, sort of squirting it down to backward point.
Seems to be coming on quite well early on, the wickets.
Yes, I watched a little bit of the game from Sharjah yesterday, which I think of all, we've talked a bit about the pitch slowdown. I think of all of the venues, Sharjah's been the most dramatic in terms of the slowdown. Abu Dhabi and Dubai have managed to keep more or less as they were.
Clipped into the leg side. There's a man out at deep square. And pick up a single.
I did say more or less. We've seen a sort of drop of single figures in terms of average run scores. Sharjah was averaging well over 200, and now 170 seems a struggle.
Well, again, that might be
163 at Dubai at the moment. Well, near
skewed
164.
a little bit by couple of big scores early on.
Well, I mean, there were games where there were 3 or 4 games in a row at Sharjah where both teams got over 200.
Yes. Well, at least we were spared. I mean, it must have been pretty grim commentating those second innings yesterday. Down the track comes Agarwal, I think, but he only gets an inside edge to backward square leg, and there's no run. Yes, had 2 pretty grim games yesterday, it sounded like.
Yeah, 2 very easy wins for the chasing teams. It's interesting that Chennai chose to field. I mean, that was very much the tactic at the start of the tournament, but then sort of went out of fashion for the middle few weeks. Everyone wanted to bat first.
Well, bearing in mind this is an afternoon game, which is obviously doesn't bring the dew in. I think that changes matters.
Also,
how you react to that change.
Irish Outsiders with us on Hot Mic says fire it up. We have. Jay Grover said Oasis have always been shite. Apropos of what, I don't know. Probably one of our jingles, I'm assuming. He also wants to know if I'm being eaten by a gremlin. I don't know what would suggest that. I did nip up at one point to go and get some coffee, Jay. Maybe that was it. Leah says, is it time for T20 to take a hint from baseball and judge batsmen on combinations of traditional stats? Something like average plus strike rate above 200 is good.
It has been mooted before. I've seen that. I think a couple of years ago, even on the TV, they were putting that stat up or something like it. Curran is round the wicket, angles it in, driven up to mid-off. And the fielder does one of those fielding things where he has to take 5 or 6 steps after he picks it up to his side, so it's an easy single. Yeah,
it used to be called batting index.
That's the one.
You add the batting average and the strike rate together, and the bar used to be 160 to be a really top quality player. I'm not sure, that might have changed actually, they might have gone up. I have seen some people try and sort of acronymise it to Basra, which is not particularly helpful.
Coming round the wicket again and flashed away by Mayank in the air, down to a vacant third man. Bounce, it's going to go for 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, very similar areas to KL Rahul. I mean, I had to sort of do a little bit of a double take when Rahul hit that 6 over third man to check it wasn't Mayank Agarwal, because he scores very heavily in the backward point region. Again, it wasn't that wide, but credit to Mayank for absolutely committing to the slash over point.
He did, and I'm not sure about this angle from Curran. He's got these 2 men out on the leg side, so he's obviously trying to fire it into leg stump from round the wicket. But again, that's more on off, although that one's straight to the fielder, and a tricksy little run. But the fielder not quick enough with the throw, or accurate enough, so they pick up the single.
Yes, that was more endangering Lungi Ngidi backing up than it was the batter's wicket. Speaking of running, I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this clip that went round from the European Cricket League of the two batters.
I mentioned it the other day. Yeah, I did mention that the other day. Now, surely there was some. Actually, think about it. Surely there was some kind of fixing going on there.
Well, so for those who haven't seen it, it's batters need 2 to win off the last ball.
2 to tie.
2 to tie. Sorry, they run the first one through to the keeper, and then I'll come to that after this ball.
Yeah, Curran is in. Oh, a bit of a surprise bouncer, which surprised everybody, including the batsman. Goes through to Dhoni for no run.
Yeah, impressive. Rahul was charging at Sam Curran and then realised it was flying past his head. So they run the first bye through to the keeper, and then the striker calls his partner through, but then waits to set off until his partner has made his ground, thus ensuring that the run-out could not be at the striker's end, and then the keeper, for some reason, fails to throw the stumps down.
Something like that. You have to see it, really. It wasn't just out to deep square for a single. It's also the way when the keeper throws it back to the bowler, he does a completely desultory sort of lob at the stumps. I think they were trying to arrange a tie for some reason. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
Well, it sort of seemed like the batting team were very switched on, and the fielding team had basically thought the game was won. Yeah, it was neither. He wasn't trying to throw at the stumps, nor was he trying to throw it to the bowler. The keeper, he panicked and sort of flapped the ball lamely towards the bowler,
who then flapped it at the stumps. Curran is in the air. Oh, again, just give him credit for the placement. Catchable height between mid-on and mid-wicket, but it does bounce through for 4.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Yeah, both batters playing to type, really. Mayank Agarwal going at 175 runs per 100 balls, and KL Rahul, even with that 6, barely over a run a ball.
Well, that's their blueprint, and it's worked for them in the last few games.
Yeah, Mayank Agarwal hasn't been in the team the last couple of games, but he is back in. They've dropped a bowler to bring him in, which basically means that they've got 4 bowlers plus Jimmy Neesham.
They've still got another bowler than that, haven't they?
Deepak Hooda can bowl a bit of off spin.
Yes, yeah.
But yes, they are, as has been the case, light on bowling. We're going to see more seam in the power lane. Not yet Lungi Ngidi, but this man.
How about getting on some media baser? Thacker's Indian, Thacker's a bowler. When he bats, disappointment. Shadow back.
He's into KL Rahul, flicks it over the leg side. Is there someone out there? No, there is not. 1 bounce 4 behind square leg.
Yeah, certainly for the seam-up bowlers, the ball does seem to be coming onto the bat very nicely. Interested to see how Mohammad Shami bowls later on this, who is considerably quicker than any of... well, actually it'd be interesting to see how Ngidi bowls, I guess.
Chahar? Is he quicker than Chahar?
Yes, I think he is.
Yeah. Anyway, here comes Thakur. Probably does deserve the appellation medium a bit more, but it's thickish edge from Rahul, and it's flown over third man for another 1 bounce 4.
Tony, you're absolutely right. CSK, they're sort of demob happy a little bit. They're not quite sure what they're doing.
We've likened it a couple of times to a relegated team in football, haven't we? All of a sudden they start picking up results against top teams, and you can't figure out why, because one is constrained by pressure and one isn't. It makes a big difference.
Thakur's in again. That's punched up to mid-on. Actually, just didn't really get hold of it, but that helped him come through for the single. It's 43 for no wicket.
Yeah, although that said, Kings 11, Rahul and Mayank Agarwal are batting with a degree of freedom. But I guess what I was in terms of the bowling that CSK are putting out, it's all kind of bowling by numbers.
They stick to their plans. Yeah. They like what they do, and they do what they like.
I'll try and catch us up on some friends on Facebook after this ball, unless it goes whistling away to the boundary.
It might do. No, it doesn't. He just dropped into the offside for a single. Go for it.
Nitish Balug saying, "What is this, brother?" Well, it's live commentary, Natish, and welcome to you. Onkar Wabble is saying hello. Askar Khan is also saying hello. Quite a few people also on Twitter with us, but the next person will be able to catch them up.
Quite a good number wang going on at the moment, with 44 for Naught off 4.4, and both batsmen have 22.
Wow.
Indeed. Disappointingly, not off the same number of deliveries.
Yeah, that would have just tied it off. Yeah, ooh, big swing from Rahul. He was looking over mid-wicket. Ball's outside off stump. Unsurprisingly, there was no connection.
Yeah, I'll have a change in one ball's time. Tony's going to do some ball by ball, and we'll introduce Al Hotch and Nestle Boy for the first time today. We will be joined later for Game 2 by Paul Grubby Howarth, our regular guest summariser who we've had over the last few weeks. Monty Panesar sadly has a family commitment and so was unable to join us, but we'll ask Paul about that innings in Cardiff instead, why don't we?
I must make it. I'm sure Monty's sick of talking about it. That one's down to backward points. There is no run. As Knuckle says, that is the end of my little stint. I'll see you in a bit. It's 44 for naught off 5.
Yeah, both of these teams not great records at Abu Dhabi. Played 4 between them, only 1 win. The Kings 11 played 3, lost 3. And the Chennai Super Kings just the 1 win. Interestingly, both sides lost their last games last time out here by 7 wickets to the same team, the Rajasthan Royals. So not a happy hunting ground indeed. That was the voice of the Wizard of the Wirral, Al Hotch.
Morning, Tony.
And let's play our usual game of where is Nestler's today. It's somewhere.
Well, it's in the city, isn't it?
It's in a city, but
is
I
it
don't
in the
think
summer?
It's London.
In the city.
I think it's a European city. Nestlers, give us a few clues.
Well, there's a big clue if you look to the right or left, because there's a restaurant there, a very famous restaurant. If you know your American TV shows.
Oh, so it's likely to be an American city then?
Yeah.
It's not New York, or is it New York?
It's New York.
Ngidi is into the attack, right arm over. This one is crashed by Mayank, up over extra cover. That's going to go the distance, 4 more. Short.
Domination is the name of the game. In cricket or life, they're both just the same. So go get the guy who can turn the day. Let's play Lungi and Edie. Let's play Lungi and Edie. Are you down for Lungi and Edie?
Well, here he is again after his jingle. That one is pulled onto his middle stump by Mayank, and his middle stump has crashed onto the ground. A beautiful 4, followed by an attempted pull that completely failed, bottom edged onto his own stump, and he's gone. Inside edge, wasn't it, Al? Just didn't really. Well, I think he was looking for the pull shot.
I think he was. I think he was just a little bit early on the shot, and as can happen, bottom edge, and the middle stump comes careening out of the ground.
Indeed. So 26 for him. Off 15. Good, rapid progress. Where do we stand? 48. We've got 4 balls left until the end of the plough play. So even with the loss of a wicket, they would probably be hoping 55, 56 perhaps. And look who's coming to the crease.
If you knew Chris Gale like I know Chris Gale, you know he's a pretty shit human being.
I was doing a little bit of reading about Chris Gale earlier on this morning, before I even got out of bed actually.
Well, that's a level of commitment I'm not prepared to.
1,001 sixes he's hit in all forms of T20 cricket. Only player to hit a triple test century, an ODI double century, and a T20 century.
He ain't bad.
That is pretty impressive. I'll give you another one. His favourite bat is a Spartan CG, the Boss. Has a large bow, light pickup and edges stretched to the maximum 40 millimetres and weighs at around 3 pounds.
What's his favourite film?
I can tell you that actually, funnily enough, in a minute.
Thought you might.
I think he's a Tom and Jerry fan from recollection of the ridiculous facts they give you on the local on the sort of club websites. But I'll have to.
Who could fault that being a Tom and Jerry fan?
Well, no, precisely nobody. There's plenty more Chris Gale facts, so I hope he stays in long enough for me to get through them, which we'll find out, won't we? He's going to be facing Ngidi, who, of course, is the one successful wicketkeeper so far.
By the way,
is the newly freed Super Kings? Yes, Nestle's.
Nestle, is that restaurant the restaurant from The Sopranos?
Nope. Leia and Jay have got it.
There is a slip in place. This is slanted across Chris Gale, and as is his wont, he just dismissively watches that by. Not a man who feels he needs to be hurried early on in his innings. He knows he can catch up time later with that big old 3-pound bat of his.
It's one of those shows that when I find out people haven't seen it, I go, what?
Not Cheers. Definitely not Cheers.
Not Cheers.
No,
It's in
because that would
Boston.
be New York, wouldn't it? Yeah,
No,
sorry,
Boston.
Boston. Yeah.
The Wire? No, The Wire's in Baltimore. Sorry.
Where's Breaking Bad set?
No.
No, nothing to do with that. All right. Gideon again. Gale forward, pushes away to point, and does take a very relaxed, leisurely, as would befit a Sunday morning style single.
If you know the show, and I tell you it's a show about nothing.
Yeah.
Hang on.
No soup for you.
No. Yes.
Yes, he's got it, Al.
Oh, what did you?
No soup for you.
Yeah. Okay. But what's the show?
No, I'm not telling you.
I can think. It's a one name. It's a person's name, isn't it?
It is.
Seinfeld.
Yay!
Is it Seinfeld? Yeah. Okay. I knew I'd get there with a bit of help from Al.
So it's a real
Teamwork.
restaurant in New York.
Have you ever done the NASA space test, Al? I'll tell you about it in a minute. As balls in again, and this one is driven quite magnificently by Kale Rahul. There's a man chasing around that extra cover boundary. He did all the hard work. He did literally all the hard work, and I'm afraid then let it through his fingers, and it's still 4 runs.
Did indeed, he was 4.
Give it to me 2 times. Give it to me 3 times. Yeah. Give it to me 4 times.
Imran Tahir.
It was
Very
Imran
poor.
Tahir. Let's not be too judgmental, because he's
Well, hang
box office
on.
in other ways.
Yeah, but he's
Hang
normally
on.
running around like a lunatic.
Yeah, but that's normally when the ball isn't in play, isn't it?
There's the signalled as 4 by umpire Patak, a man like
Umpire
Brian May
Otto
by
from The Simpsons.
my son earlier. He said, "Is Brian May coming out to umpire?"
No, it's Kenny Lee.
So 53 for 1. The 50 is up. Kale Rahul is facing, and Ngidi is in, and it's left alone outside of the off stump. Looked like a slower ball to me. And
Just a
Kale
legal
was
position.
happy to watch it past. Yeah, the NASA space test. First of all, tell you that was a bit of a curate's egg of an over. A couple of boundaries, a single and a wicket. To mix things up quite nicely. Perhaps we should catch up on some social media first,
We
though.
probably should.
Nestlers.
Well, I completely disagree with Leia. She thinks Seinfeld is massively overrated. I think it's it's probably my favourite comedy show of all time. Muttley's trying to recognise the restaurant, but if you're listening, Muttley, it's already been got. Barong says Nesters is one of the 3 cities in the US where they haven't been rioting. Can't name the 3 cities off the top of my head. Don't give Tony any hints. He's coked up to the tits again. Fucking disgrace, says Jay.
Listen,
Only our work.
what we do to get Tony ready for 9:30 in the morning is our business.
It's all sorts of equipment and stuff.
Well,
that
I've
we
told you
use.
I was reading facts, but I've still got plenty more facts about Chris Gale to go through. So you
Listen.
don't think you can relax just yet. I'll give you
Listen.
one more now. He's about to face.
Oh, is that a change in the bowling? Then?
Gale
Oh,
weighs
no.
15 stone. Do we? No.
No.
Well, I'll tell you. He weighs 15 stone, and his biceps of 15 inches are 15 inches in diameter.
Wow.
It wasn't.
I don't know. I don't know how to react to some of these things.
Well, you don't need to react. You just simply need to enjoy the extent of my research as Thakur is in. And Gale, with those 15-inch biceps, just guides that away to mid-wicket. There's no run. It wasn't until the mid-20s, the introduction of T20, that Gale transformed from a rangy, athletic-type frame into a powerhouse, using the gym to improve his strength and explosivity.
Is that a nice way of saying Chris Gale stopped running 20 years ago?
Possibly, quite possibly, yes. But no, what it is saying was he used to be tall and skinny, and now he's very much not tall and skinny. He's a chunky, muscular lad. As in comes Thakur. This one is cut down to third man. and will just be a single run in the way, as Al was alluding to, that Gale likes to run these days, which is not in any sort of hurry.
Amble.
Not nimble.
Not
Definitely
nimble.
an amble.
Not
An
nimble.
amble, not a nimble amble. But nonetheless, it did get him a single. I'll see if I can find you one more. He says his timing was born from two characteristics of his youth: being thin and using a heavy bat.
Yeah.
So there you go. As such, he developed a stance, and we'll wait for Thakur, who's in, and Gale just nudges this away into the onside. There's no run. As such, he developed a stance, one that doesn't move around the crease as much as other one-day big hitters such as A.B. de Villiers and Joss Butler. But it is an action conducive to clean hitting. Well, no one's going to argue with that fact. None for 11 for Thakur so far. Message from the green room. Someone's making himself a coffee and warming up their breakfast. Is that you, Knuckle?
He's the only person there.
He's the only person there.
Oh, he is in fact the sole occupant of the solitary green room, as Cale recall this time drives, but straight to cover. So once more there is no run. So actually pretty tight over this. Al,
It is. He's done
3 dots and a single.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really an awful lot of intent from Rahul to try and be able to try and pierce the field. Good full length bowling. All adds up to a bit of a struggle, really.
Driven by Cale Rahul straight to mid off. They will take a single, and that was a rather quicker single than Chris Gale likes to take, one would imagine, particularly on a very hot day. This being a daytime game, of course, in Abu Dhabi. No cover for the players. Not much cover around the ground, apart from that rather large spaceship roof, which I think is at the south end, isn't it?
So, Tony, how do you see the scenario of how the table's going to work itself out?
Oh, now you're asking me. I suspect 4 teams will qualify.
Correct.
As Gale stands ready, that's a Yorker from Thakur, and Gale has to drop the bat on it in a hurry. He does, and takes another single.
He's done very great bowling by Thakur, a great Yorker that Gale has to dance his way away from, and just by sheer, good bat placement, good awareness from Rahul and Gale, that ball going down to mid-on was going to be able to give them the single. So good cricket all round, really.
Well, we've got a strategic timeout. Let me get through some messages.
Go on,
Philip Shaw on our Facebook page says, Guerrilla Cricket, a real Sunday treat. Have you read out all the Crick Tracker ones, Tony?
I had up until the point at which you appeared. There may be more since then, Nestlers.
Not by the looks of it. Back to Twitter. Mog's allowed out again, and he's laughing at the fact that we're not. Josie Oak says, I think Gale is bigger than that now. Leia says, I like to hear, even when he gets wickets, he goes for runs. Excuse me a second. How is Seinfeld better than It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
We're wandering off down a labyrinth.
And that's just considering cringe comedies about unlikable arseholes.
Wasn't the criticism of Seinfeld in literally or its strength was that literally very little ever did happen?
Yeah.
Well, no, but it did.
But does that need to matter?
No, but lots did happen.
Ah, okay.
But the characters did sort of nothing with their lives, kind of thing. That was the kind of
best Seinfeld episode's got to be the contest.
Could be the contest. I mean, there's so many.
There's so many.
The chicken one where Kramer gets obsessed with the chicken. I mean, I love it. Pirate Badger, I have to confess I don't get American sitcoms. It's not really a sitcom. None of them make me laugh ever. And Good Morning Old Salts and Sea Dogs.
They're certainly often formulaic.
Well, that's one thing that Seinfeld isn't.
2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, even Friends, Once you've seen one, you feel like you've possibly seen them all a lot of the time. Other people may disagree with me.
All those you've described are nothing like Seinfeld. I
mean, true.
Written by Larry David, who's done Curb Your Enthusiasm, which again is brilliant.
Yeah, and you can see the similarity. I wouldn't say I was a fan, but I enjoyed Cheers, and I certainly enjoyed Frasier.
Oh, Frasier and Cheers are great, but they're not the comedy was very sharp in those. It's
Yes.
not like it wasn't. They weren't mild American sitcoms where you had a grumpy dad and two kids and stuff like that. They're very different.
Those that
The
are
writing.
obvious formula are stronger, I suspect.
Yeah, but and
Taxi,
really-
I used to love Taxi, by the way.
Taxi,
going back in
brilliant.
time.
Yeah, but it's down to the writing, and that's why Curb Your Enthusiasm is so good, because it's written by the same guy who wrote Seinfeld.
True. When you've finished,
I have finished.
Chucked me a challenging question, so I might try. What are there? There are 4 teams on 12 points and 2 on 14. So to answer your question, Al, I think obviously the Mumbai Indians with 18 are sorted.
Yeah.
I think the teams on 14, whilst possibly needing wins to absolutely ensure it, are sorted. It comes down to those that therefore to one place being contested by 4 teams, one of whom of course is the Kings 11, whose net run rate is somewhat better than that, but I think the Sunrisers are in the box seat given that they have a substantially better net run rate than the others, as Imran Tahir is into the attack and Chris Gale steers this past the Brian May of umpires at square leg and will I think take a single. Yes, he does.
Seems as our jingle isn't here, we need to remind people that he will be right waiting.
Oh, of course,
for you.
that is a lovely jingle. I will be right waiting for you, and indeed he is wearing that yellow headband. He's a fascinating character. I mean, literally, if you go to his Cricinfo page, it's longer than almost any other page just by dint of the number of teams he's played for. As in, he comes with that sort of swooping run of his. Again, it's cut straight to points. They do take another single. So
How
just
old
2
is he now?
singles off to here so far.
206, that's how old he is.
He's 206, is he really? That's probably the number of teams he's played for. You're
Well, sure
a
enough.
bit confused there, Al. 58 for 1 for the Kings 11. KL Rahul, 28 off 23. So here, and again, plenty of air for that. Chris Gale pulls, but he's going to pull it straight to deep mid-wicket. And again, amble.
Well,
Indolently,
those
in the most relaxed manner, a single.
statistics do say that Tahir's bowled against Gale 7 times in T20s, and he's got him out 3 times. So there seems to be the formula there.
There you are. That one's flicked away nicely by KL Rahul down to mid-on. Another single, dealing in the 1s and 2s here. Just ones, in fact, off to here. 4 balls, 4 singles.
I think he's going to give it a bit of give him a chance for Gale's eyes to light up and hopefully mistime a lofted drive to a fielder.
Well, I mean, I'll hold that thought for a minute. And this one is pushed by Gale. It's another single. 5 balls, 5 singles. I just have a feeling, however you feel about him, and I know he's been contentious, shall we say, for quite, for doing bad things, frankly, as Chris Gale. Most people wanted him to get that 100 yesterday. I genuinely think they did. Or not yesterday, when was it? Was it yesterday or the day before? This one's cut to point. And for Imran Tahir, a mini triumph in that he gets himself a dot ball in a over that had otherwise netted a single off every ball. So 5 off the over, end of the over. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably were rather disappointed when he chopped onto his stumps on 99 and were thinking, come on, Chris, you can do this.
No, I don't know. I've kind of, my whole mindset's changed about sportsmen and things like that. It's like you got to 99 and you didn't get 100.
In the context of the game, it would not have changed it too much. I mean, it was 1 run difference, right?
Yeah, I'm always surprised where it's like the 99. Oh well, you're nearly there. So what we'll do is we'll give you a lollipop of a run, and and it's like, people wanting to get to 100. It's like, well, play a decent shot then. If you chop on, you chop. You could have chopped on naught. Doesn't really matter. It's just I don't really like the idea of that idea of like I hoped he would have got to 100. It's like I can't be bothered. Just get to 90.
Hold that thought for a second as Ngidi is in to Gale, who didn't get hold of that at all. He was clearly looking to drive down to mid-on and got a bit of an inside edge, and then Estoni done the fielding from behind the stumps. But then you're effectively almost saying, Al, that 100s don't matter, and that's not true.
Well, no, I'm not saying 100s don't hundreds don't matter, as Gale was really quite close to chopping on again
He
with
was,
that
wasn't he?
particular difference. First of all, I think it's easier now for me as an adult to turn around and separate out Chris Gale, the sportsman, from Chris Gale, the human being, and I can differentiate between those two things.
Yep.
And the other one is that, to be perfectly honest, he got out for 99. Great innings.
Did.
So what?
And this one, he's had a swing and a miss, and a huge smile radiates across the face of Ngidi because he knows he got the better of the star man that we're talking about there.
It's an arbitrary number. I mean, if you in your career got 1,000 99s, would that not be a great career?
Well, it would, but
it's just because it's not 100. It's only one run.
No, it's different. I mean,
it is.
If a ball's cleared off the line in football, it's not a goal, but 99 is a contribution of 99. You know, so it is very different. In comes Ngidi to Kale Rahul.
Got him.
I think he's through him. He is. He's through him to the extent he's pinned back his stumps, and Kale Rahul has gone.
What a slower ball Yorker that is. That was beautiful. Just took a little bit of the pace off, and and because he's taken the pace off, that it's you can see the loop and the dip, and it's perfectly placed, and it's absolutely pinned back Rahul's middle stump.
You're absolutely
Look
right.
at that.
Perfect Yorker, and that off stump has been pegged back, as Al so elegantly put it. Big smile out in the face of Ngidi, who punches the air. In terms of muscly arms, by the way, he's not in bad order, is he, Ngidi?
Nope.
Strong-looking lad.
Let's have him on his way. Go on, Knuckle.
It brings to the crease a man we will also jingle up, I have no doubt, Nicholas Puran.
It's when you keep a batsman or your kind of thing. Let me introduce Nicholas Puran. Nick Puran often plays as a batsman. Nick Puran. Nick Puran made 143 in the under 19s. Nick Puran.
Well, Knuckle must have had absolute confidence of exactly when that jingle was going to finish, because I looked up and he'd walked away. He'd started the jingle. If it had needed fading, he wasn't there to fade it.
No, we would have had to have struggled through them.
Oh, which won't have been easy because it's one of the louder ones, I think.
Some breakfast he's warming up. He's back.
Who knows? Well, we'll find out what it is soon. 62 for 2, anyway, for the Kings 11. And we're looking at the Nicholas Puran, who has his bat raised ready and steers this through cover. Sam Curran is the man there at extra who sprints across. But it will be a single. It'll
no single.
No single. They didn't take the single. So it's a lively piece of fielding.
It's just great to see when bowlers outsmart batsmen. It's been so batsman centric T20 for such a long time, and now you can start to see the redressing of the balance a little bit.
You could also say there, Al, I'll hold that thought as Puran looks to cut, and it's past him and through into the gloves of Dhoni. There was no footwork, and he played across the line.
Oh God!
Not an ideal way to deal with an off-stump Yorker.
But you can also argue that Rahul has gone through probably all 8 stages of panic. You know, where's the ball? Why isn't it here? It's still not here. Oh my God! I'm already through the shot. Is that the sound of my off stump going on behind me?
Ngidi going to be in again. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 on the offside, and this one is pushed back to him. He's very swift and lively and agile and able to drop that right hand.
A wicket and
onto
one
the
run
ball.
off the over.
Fine over from Ngidi. 2 wickets for 10 for him. He's slightly changed the complexion of this Kings 11 innings, as they are 62 for 2 Nestlers.
Yeah, so Jay is going to he's got vast amounts of booze, cheese and other things to survive the US election, and he'll write a sitcom about himself. It'll be about stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can just what I'd like to know though, Jay, is who will play you.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Tell us which actor's going to play you, as Imran Tahir is in to Gale. That's a googly, and it was an excellent googly too. Got that to move quite a lot, didn't he, Al?
Certainly did, just enough, and you could. Gale played it as if he was playing a googly for the very first time. Well, that's bouncing in the wrong
He almost
direction.
jumped, didn't he? This one he plays in much more assured manner, stepping back and quite relaxed, languid
He really
push at
has,
the ball from Gale.
He really has no footwork, does he? It's like.
Well, we were talking about that in my as I went. Again, it just pushed back down the track to here. He just doesn't look bothered though when he does that, does he?
It looks like he's actually just. This is bowling practice for Tahir. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's a
him up.
good one.
I'll keep pushing him
That's a
back
good
to you. And he comes again down the track, steered to long off, and away it goes. It will take a single, fielded by Sam Curran. Yes, Knuckles just reminded me of something which I will try and tell you between balls if I can. We have teamed up with the Sussex Cricket Foundation to launch an appeal which you will find on Just Giving. Knuckle, could you remind me the URL? I don't have it in front of me. It's also on our pinned tweet on our website. Looking to provide 3,000. I'll hold that for a second. That's away into the onside this time, single. Basically providing meal packs for those who are underprivileged and children who are not getting sufficiently nourishing meals in these very tough and challenging times. And we are asking for your help with a campaign called In the Bag, in partnership with Sussex Cricket. So do please have a look at that, and if you could do anything to help, we'd be very grateful. Gale drops the bat, runs. It's another single. It's the end of the 10th over. It's 65 for 2, 1 for Pooran, 9 for Gale. And I shall take my leave for a short while, and Andy will return. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Tony. Nestles, do you want to catch up on some tweets and things?
Jersey Oak says one 41-year-old bowling to another 41-year-old. That's what the IPL is all about, bringing on the cricket youth. Leah says, well, Al, I can also differentiate between the sportsman and the human. It's just that I choose not to do so.
As is your one. But I can look at Chris Gale as a cricketer, and I can look at Chris Gale as a human being. You know, I don't have to like sportsmen.
And you separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, heroes are often disappointing when you meet them. So,
sure. Yeah.
You know, so
Jersey Oak wonders if we're covering the US election. No. Jay will be played by Charlie Sheen from a few years ago.
It's going to be Thacker in for the 11th over, and he's into Chris Gale. And Chris Gale takes a step to leg and tries to smush that ball down to far reaches, but only gets as far as long on, and there's a single taken.
Jay also says, don't fuck about with balls.
How about getting on some media baser? Thacker's Indian, Thacker's a bowler. When he bats, disappointment.
And that's wide of Pooran's off stump, and he has hit that airily through the covers, but there is a deep cover there, and Pooran will move and amble on to 2 not out. Punjab 67 for 2 in the 11th over, and the breaks, Andy, have really been applied, haven't they, in the last 5 or so overs?
They have, and I just wonder if both of these batsmen can really afford to be in waiting mode at the moment, or they'll start me off on my usual rant.
See, this is why this is, Andy, why it's all about timing. We've just got to get you in for the right overs.
Often this is about the right time. Yes.
Yeah, and that's a short ball into Gale's ribs, and he kind of half paddles, half pulls down to deep square leg, and they will all shuffle around for a single. Gale's on 11, but it's taken him 16 balls. He is considering his strike rate, he does take a little bit of time to get going.
He often does. I don't think there's any danger of these two doing what De Villiers and Coley have been doing lately, which is just never accelerating at all for some reason. So I don't think it'll be too long.
And that is a swing and a miss by Poran.
No, it's not a miss.
No, it's not a swing and a miss. It's a bottom edge which has been taken by a great catch by Donny, low down. He's had to go back against an initial effort, and Poran has to go. An under edge of a attempted pull shot, and Donny has taken a great catch behind the stumps. Didn't have to move too far, but just had to change direction late. And that's 68 for 3. And CSK have got them at it.
Well, this is a problem for Kings 11. They have had a very productive top 4, but unfortunately, three of them are back in the hutch for only 68 at 6th and over. So they do have a problem here. And it would be nice for Glenn Maxwell to come out now, but nope.
Hindsight. How do I love that? No, you said it right from the start.
I would never play Nishan ahead of Maxwell. No disrespect to Jimmy Nishan. Well, it is a little bit, but I would never play Nishan ahead of Maxwell in any conditions, irrespective of what form either of them were in.
And I will allow Knuckle to to even jingle our new batsman.
Here is a plea, cause this really sucks. Nobody knows this. Keep it secret, please. It's so hard for me to bowl to Mandeep Singh after what he did the last time I played him.
So, Mandeep Singh, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make sure that Gale gets as much on strike as possible, and also to keep the scoreboard ticking. Over 68 for 3. We need to be up. We need 100 off, at least off this last 9 and a bit overs.
Well, more than 10 is often a challenge.
Yeah.
Unless you've literally only got 4 overs left, and as I say, they're through into some batsmen who have not batted all that much. I should imagine Huda is next, and then Nisha.
Thacker in again, and that's cut away by Mandeep. Very much on the up there, that cut shot. But it's only to deep point, and there'll be a single, and Mandeep is off the mark straight away. As we're seeing, it's just it's there for Poran to play the right shot. He's just through on the shot, maybe a little bit quickly, and Donny's done some nice, neat work behind the stumps.
Yeah, it must have been a fairly substantial edge, because there was never any suggestion anyone was going to review that. And Kings 11 just better make sure that not too many overs get away from them here, and Gale's left one.
Left a wide one. Maybe thought that was going to be called wide by the umpire, but that seems to be the ball of 2020, the full wide ball, which is just enough inside the marked areas in order for it to be a legal delivery, and that's the end of the over. Nestlers, I talked over you with regards to half a tweet, so if you want to carry on, mate, I do apologise.
Don't worry. I'm on YouTube, and our ever-present Dandy Castro has been tweeting away.
Hey.
He says he doesn't trust people who dislike Seinfeld to this day, with Cheers still the top 2 US sitcoms, because Basil Fawlty and Manuel are still the funniest characters ever.
Maybe.
Jay Grover says, when I talked, I was called Remus Lupin by Potter-crazed Egypt teenagers, so David Thewlis on a sofa drinking will be in Blinder. This is who he's going to play Jay in his sitcom he's going to write.
David Thewlis, eh?
Yeah. And AD Brian says, I had no idea the cricket mob was such Depeche Mode fans. Well, I'm not.
Plenty of Depeche Mode jingles.
They're in for his third over, and Singh just pushes that out to point, and there'll be no run.
Jay also says, I can tell the beats and content of Andy's rants and yelps to the minute by now. I'll send him a new script. It will be mint.
Well, if his old script ever ends up being wrong, I'm sure he'll change it, and that's more flighted by Tahir, and Mandeep gets an inside edge, which squirts square of the wicket, and Dhoni, I think, comes around and does the fielding from wicket-keeper, but they'll run through for a single. That's the thing about Andy.
Well,
Keep banging the drum whilst it's a drum to bang.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Well, you almost look at Chris Gale and you think there's now a bit of pressure on him not to get out.
True enough.
That affects him or not, I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Tahir pushes that ball through maybe a little bit quicker towards Gale, and Gale pushes that, leans on it all the way down to long on, and there'll be a single.
Bizarrely, Tahir hasn't taken the wicket this season.
Well, when he does, he's going to do about 3 laps of the ground.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the wall of death around the outskirts. That's off. And try to be maybe a little fuller, a little bit more flighted. Ends up being a medium-sized full toss to Mandeep, who can only play this to deep mid-wicket. And there'll be a third single from the over. But singles are fine for CSK so far. Punjab 72 for 3 with 2 balls of the 12th over left to go. I've got my own theory about what's going to happen with regards to the rest of this table, and that's hit Gale in front with a failed sweep, and he's got to go. Oh, he's immediately reviewed. Now, how far has Tahir gone round the track? How far?
He's still going. No, he's not.
No, he's so Imran Tahir is not running, and Chris Gale has reviewed being hit relatively plumb in front.
I don't know, there's a bit leg-sidey for me.
Do you think it was a bit leg-sidey?
May have pitched outside or been a round leg stump, so I'm not 100% on this being out. Oh no, hang on, I've got that wrong. No, sorry. You did. I will front it up.
There seems to
Andy, it was great that at the very moment that you were saying that, that's when the replay started to appear, and you were like, oh no, I can see leg stump. No, that's not right.
No, that's
so it's definitely not hit the bat. It's definitely hit Gale in front of middle stump.
It's out.
Yeah,
Gale, I think, has already begun to start walking.
Yes,
without...
he's pretty sure it's out. Yeah. Good review, Chris.
Gale doesn't discuss with anybody about reviewing it. He just immediately, I can't be out.
I'm Chris F. Gale. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
Normal rules do not apply. So, it's pitching in line, it's hitting in line, and it is hitting, well, about 90% of the way up on middle stump. The reviewers lost. Gale lost. Umpire Otto from The Simpsons raises his finger.
Does a flying V of celebration.
And Imran Tahir is now approaching an altitude of 38,000 feet. Punjab is 72 for 4.
Well, Kings 11 are up against it now. Now all of their top 4 is gone. They've got Mandeep, Huda and Nisham, who now have the difficult juggling act of trying to score enough runs but also not being bowled out in a heap. So I can see why you wouldn't want to go all guns blazing here. They've got to try to get 150, I would suggest.
That's going to be a semi-defendable total, or more so now as the tournaments go on, and Tahir is in 1 for 11. We've talked him into that wicket as Huda plays that ball down to a wide-ish long on, and will jingle up on you batsmen.
Are you looking for a good time? Huda, are you ready for my love?
It was lovely to see a little hug there between Sam Curran and Imran Tahir, like, I've got a wicket at last. All I needed were those people on Guerrilla Cricket to talk about it one more time, and the breakthrough occurs almost instantly. Is there anything else you want to talk into existence? Any results in the weekend?
Admit to getting something else wrong. That was Sabrina, not Spangler. I'm sure Grubby would pull me up on that one.
Is that the type of thing that you're really unhappy about getting wrong, though?
Yes, actually. Yeah. Certainly my reputation is on the line when it comes to cheesy 80s music.
DJ Andy Ward there. Nestlers, what we got going? Oh, hang on. I was about to throw it to you, but we're going to have the lightning quick Jadeja who's going to come in and bowl. And that first ball played to short extra cover, and there'll be no run. We might struggle getting his jingle in, Knuckle. And he's in for the second ball of the over, and Huda steps back in his crease and whips that down to long leg, and there'll be a single. Absolutely got him dead to rights to hit.
Yeah, it didn't just pitch in line, it pitched on middle, hit in front of middle, and was hit in the middle.
Yep. Jadeja with a fast fired in delivery. Yes, will the jingle finish or will the over finish first? That's how quick Jadeja is. Jadeja did the fielding there, and there's no run off the third ball of the over. And that's a ball on Mandeep's leg stump, which he whips through to deep mid-wicket, and there'll be a single. And the jingle is finished, and we've still got 3 balls left.
The quickest over in first-class cricket was reputed to have been bowled while the church clock struck 12, whichever ground it was.
Nice. That's more floated, and Huda tries to drive that through mid-wicket, but it can only hit a short mid-wicket, and there'll be no run. 1 ball left to go of this 13th over, just the 2 runs from it. And that is, again, almost bowled like a slow medium pacer. And Huda cuts that ball behind square, unable to be fielded by the close fielder. But there's a fielder there on the boundary who will throw the ball in. But there's 2 runs able to be taken, and there's going to be a strategic timeout. And Kings 11 need it with 7 overs left to go.
So, with that strategic timeout...
Yeah, go on, Nestle.
Mog says you should be thankful it's Depeche Mode for the jingles and not, I think it's Anal Lathraf, you ungrateful bastard, who are a sort of extreme metal band. I'm not writing a sitcom about me, says Jay. Fine actor though Thurber says, I doubt he could sell a man abusing substances and eating cheese on a mouse turd riven sofa. What a...
I don't know, Sealis has got range, man. Sealis has got range.
On Cricket Tracker India, we have Balmukund Meena has joined us and says, Punjab.
It's a brave shout from here.
I think Punjab are going to lose. I think that Hyderabad are going to win. I think that Rajasthan are going to win. And I think whoever loses the game between second and third, between Delhi and RCB, is going to be on the outside looking in. That's my prediction for what's going to happen with the final 4.
That would honestly, I would be splitting my sides if metaphorically, if RCB don't qualify, because they were so full of how much better they were doing this year.
It's what we said before we went on air, isn't it? The most RCB thing that RCB could do would be to lose their final 4 games and end up not qualifying.
With Kohli and De Villiers playing each game as a net. But Kings 11 have to work out what they're going to do from here. Only 7 overs to go. Aren't they on now 75? Jadeja's just rattled off a quick over for 4 runs or something. Yeah, it's a tough one. You've still got Neesham, who is presumably inside partially for his batting. I think at least one of these batsmen has to start looking for the boundary.
Yeah, I think the last 5 over thrash that we've become accustomed to through the course of the tournament has to maybe become a last 7 over thrash.
Not necessarily thrash, but it's always difficult to balance. But yeah, they can't afford to just sort of limp to 130 here.
Rennie Peters joined us.
Hey.
Unable to be fielded, 2 runs were able to be taken. Passive man strikes again. Hooray. That must have been your commentary, Al.
Well, you know, if it I apologise for it being as absolutely rubbish as that then, if that's what it was that I said. I do apologise.
Well, you're not as bad as Mark Nicholas. He was on the other day going, how many is it? None? 1? 2?
Yeah, that's not how I want to live my life.
You want to set a higher bar than that.
By how close to Mark Nicholas am I? No thanks.
I actually don't think he's the worst on there by any means.
Oh God, no. He's actually quite reasonable, to be fair.
Probably
So-
I'd be pointing at Gavaskar and, not to be sexist, but Chopra.
There's a laundry list.
Yep.
And to be honest, it's a laundry list that changes day to day and innings to innings. So nobody's safe.
You would need one of those industrial tumble dryers that 3 people get stuck in to process all that laundry.
Yes.
The fact that that's a long story is in fact a longer story.
Yes, go and look it up if you haven't seen it.
Yes. So Kings 11 Punjab, 77 for 4, 13 overs go. It's going to be a change in the bowling. I think Chahar is going to be coming in. Yeah, he's going to be replacing Tahir. So let's jingle up.
Deepak Chahar, Fleming loved the sky. Deepak Chahar, he bowled a few sky high. Did they come down? He somehow bowled his way to success.
And that is back of a length and on Mandeep's off stump, and he's hit that behind square leg, and fine leg and deep square leg are unable to cut that off, and that's rolled into the boundary sponge for 4 runs.
It's me, Sanshi. It's me, Sanshi.
Quite an effective wristy flick there.
Good placement. Well, it wasn't a big thrash. It was good placement on that shot. That might give him a bit of a catalyst.
We hope so. Oh, and Chahar has forgotten to let go of the ball, which is one of the fundamental basics of cricket.
Bowling, certainly.
Certainly. So we will do that over again.
It's the first boundary in 7 overs.
Yeah, there's just this, whether it's about, the loss of momentum that comes with the gradual loss of wickets and good bowling. As Chahar comes in, and he does let go of the ball, and it's on Mandeep's off stump, and he will dab that down to a 3rd man, and there'll be a single.
Well, I can infer from that I guess Chris Gale went out there for 17 balls without hitting a boundary.
Yep. There was lots of singles, lots of ambling along.
It's a risk. I mean, Gale knows his game by now, but it is a risk to have these slow starts. If you get out just when you're about to go, you've suddenly had a negative impact.
Yep. And Chahar is in for the 3rd ball of the over, and that is something, maybe the pace was off. Just seemed to keep a little low on Mandeep, and he kind of checks his shot down to long on, and they'll run a single. Yeah, it seemed to keep a little bit low. I think probably because a slower ball there from Chahar did seem to fool Huda, rather than Mandeep. They've got run through, and it's Mandeep will take strike. But yeah, 22 runs off the last 5.5 overs with 3 wickets going down. So really CSK in the ascendancy, and again a slower ball. Mandeep just dabs that down into the offside, looks to take a quick single, but Huda's having none of it. And
I think there should have been one there.
He did take at least 3 big strides down, Mandeep. Any more, he would have been fatally overcommitted. But again, there's no single. Everyone gets back okay. 83 for 4 with 2 balls left to go with this 14th over.
Well, Kings 11 will have a few months to reflect if this goes south.
And dabbed down again by Mandeep, and 3rd man again will do the honours. 7 runs off the over so far. 84 for 4. And CSK will be really quite happy.
Now, I haven't seen anything in this wicket to suggest it's only 140 wicket. It looks fine to me.
No. It's just been, there's been, we had the openers who played on and missed a really good slower ball Yorker, and Gale was plumb in front, and that's pulled away by Huda. A short ball off the last ball of the over, too short with Chahar's length, and Huda's pulled that away just behind square leg, and there'll be bookend 4s for the over.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary.
Well, Chahar again not having the best day, as he doesn't seem to when I'm watching him. He's won 3 overs for 30. Even though its economy rate across the tournament is pretty good.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit too short there. And
it's been a bit too leg-sidey, I think, all through the whole innings. Maybe playing for some swing that isn't transpiring.
Right. This is your 1.5 minute warning to everyone who's on overs 15 to 20. Jadeja is going to be bowling the 15th over. Starting positions, please, everybody. So,
I saw that by some metrics, Jadeja is having his best IPL with the bat, but his worst with the ball.
That's 2 down the leg side. Mandeep turns this on the 45. The boundary raider behind square leg runs in, limits everything to a single.
Is he still in the Indian white ball setup, Jadeja? Is he going to Australia?
That's
yes.
Get fired into leg stump, and Huda can only play it to short mid on. Tahir does the fielding, and there's no run. Jadeja in again, and that's again down leg side. It strikes Huda on the pad. No chance of an LBW decision. Far too down leg side.
I think they skipped through for a leg bye.
I think they did.
Yeah. I'm not totally sure this wasn't a leading edge. No, you're right. It's just a pad. Yeah.
But it was in the end. It was backward point that ended up doing the fielding. Attempted reverse sweep that is fielded by backward point, and I think there would be a single taken there, possibly. 91 for 4, Kings 11 Punjab. But he's managed to pick out the fielder there. Yeah, there was a single take. Oh, yeah, there was a single. There was a bit of yes, no, maybe in the middle. And that's down leg side again, and Huda has tried to heave that. But deep square leg is able to run round to a fine leg position, and they'll take 2. But Jadeja's, I think, sacrificing a little bit of accuracy for speed here.
As
a
you
bit
said,
too much down leg side.
Almost like a slow medium bowler.
Yeah.
Darting those in.
Really no attempt to try and get any sort of spin at all. And Huda comes down the track and takes the ball to deep square leg where there's a misfield, and they're able to take 2. That really is sloppy stuff at the end of the 15th over. So 2-4-7 from that Jadeja over. 15 overs in the book. I'll let Nestle do a little bit of talking, and then we'll have a bit of a switch around.
Well, the next tweet I've got is from Farong, who says RBC, the only team yet to pass the 2,000 run mark in the tournament, were looking good against MI last week and then lost 4-18 on memory. Bottlers, he says. Bottlers. Rick Finlay says in the IPO in 2015 played an innings of 10-24 with no boundaries. What we'll see is...
Sorry.
What we'll see with us. Well, if it isn't the Gorillas.
It isn't.
And Messi Jez has joined us. Is it just me becoming jaded by the repetition, or does it actually seem as a lot of the life has gone out of the IPL players as well as the pitches? Way too long a competition for me. And on that bombshell, I'll see you later.
No, I don't think that's an accurate analysis. I do think that a lot of the sort of the tension of this ridiculous playoff battle and the fact that the teams are all so close together is playing on teams a little bit. Certainly the pitches have slowed down, but you would expect that. Imran Tahir is back into the attack for his 4th over. He starts with a leggy outside off stump, which Mandeep pushes out to the cover sweep, but for a single will jingle up Imran.
Wherever you go.
And then talk over it as he bowls straight at Deepak Huda, who works this into the leg side. They come through for a very quickly run 2 runs, I think. They managed on that occasion. Yeah, pushing to the edge of the circle and then sprinting through 4-2. The boundaries have been hard to come by after the power play. Mandeep and Huda have hit 1 each, but they're the only ones other than the openers to hit boundaries. Kings 11 98 for 4. Full toss from Imran Tahir, which Huda whips down the ground but doesn't time at all, and is lucky that Faf du Plessis was on the edge of was right back on the edge of the rope and couldn't come in and take the catch. In the end, it goes down to Faf, 1 bounce, and they come through for a single.
You could see all the emotions there. Get up, get down.
Yeah. he stopped as the ball was in the air. Did the batter? Next ball is whipped into the onside for a single. Tahir also bowling very quick through the air and not allowing the batters to get under it.
100 up for Punjab.
Yes, at long last. Tossed up outside off stump and lovely shot. Down on one knee goes Deepak Huda and lofts this over extra cover. A beautiful full swing of the bat and the best shot for about 10 overs, 6 runs.
Good shot.
4, 6.
Yeah, beautiful shot. I think that's the first boundary Imran Tahir's conceded today.
Yes, he hasn't gone for many. It might be one of those spells where you bowl really well, then go 6-4 off the last 2 balls, and your figures take a bit of a dent.
It is indeed the first boundary he's conceded today, and this is his last ball, which he bowls full and quite quick. And Deepak Huda turns this into the onside. They will not come back for 2 as Gaikwad's in pretty quickly from deep mid-wicket. So a small dent in Imran Tahir's figures. He closes his IPL with the ball figures of 1 for 24 off 4 overs. Only the 1 wicket for the season, only the 3 games played for Imran Tahir. Weird, given how good he is, given he was the second highest wicket taker last season in 2019. But he gets a little bit of joy out of IPL 2020. 16 overs gone, Kings 11, 107 for 4.
It's interesting, isn't it, that you, with every CSK player that we watch fulfill some overs, when we watch them back, when we watch them get out, there is this sense that are we watching? What part of CSK is going to change next year, even if it's sort of a keeper draft rather than the idea of a full auction. Whether Tahir comes back next year, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, they've got a few players in that kind of situation. Yeah,
and we've been asking the "is it 1 year too many" question for quite some time. Possibly this is that year, the first time that CSK haven't made the playoffs in their existence. That, by the way, is only the second 6 of the innings, and the first was off the third ball of the third over. Jadeja's continuing, bowling his third. Bowls it a little bit slower into leg stump, and it's worked by Deepak Huda into the onside for a single.
If he's going to bowl that line, he really needs someone in the circle on the leg side, doesn't he?
Well, I think he's quite happy to give up the singles, frankly. Everyone's back on the leg side apart from short fine leg. It's a pretty traditional T20 field at this stage. Short fine leg, short third man, backward point, extra cover with deep point, long off, long on, deep mid wicket and deep square leg back on the edge of the circle. But it doesn't matter where the fielders are if you bowl it like that. That really was a slow medium delivery, almost 100 kilometres an hour. Fired in, must have been seam up. Mandeep beaten for pace, off stump. Is knocked back. Ravindra Jadeja has his first wicket, and after that mini revival, Kings 11 lose their 5th. They're 108 for 5. Mandeep only able to provide partial support to Deepak Huda, gone for 14 off 15 with 1-4.
It wasn't that seam up delivery, was it? But it almost, with the speed it was bowled at, almost looks like a cross seam delivery for a medium pacer. But too good for Mandeep.
He's actually spinning in the air, just not off the pitch. Wobble Seam says, Imran Tahir, what a legend. Wish they could have given him more game time. Raj Lathrani, KL Rahul is playing the whole IPL like 20 overs, 20 to 35 of an ODI, and Jay Grover wants to live in a tree village.
You can, Jay. Maybe. Anyway, this brings the overseas all-rounder from the Antipodes to the middle, but not that one.
Whoops, all look, here comes another slow ball. Jimmy Neesham's bowled another slow ball.
Left-handed Jimmy Neesham should be a good matchup to the left-arm spinner Jadeja, but he fires this in very quick, does Jadeja, onto middle and leg stump. Gets a little bit of shape though, a little bit of dip though with that pace. Jimmy Neesham just blocks the single into the onside. I've seen this wicket again. It just skidded through under the bat of Mandeep Singh as he tried to pull, then tried to sweep, then fell over. Fourth ball of the over. Huda trying to take a little bit of time out of the game, which is not easy when Jadeja's bowling. Comes down the wicket, which is brave when Jadeja's bowling. Jadeja sees him coming, fires it into the pads, and this is whipped into the onside for a single. Jimmy Neesham has done little of note for Kings 11 this year, and has done little of note in his IPL career. 60 runs at a strike rate of under 100.
Still, all is forgiven if you can get to 255 here.
Well, yes, indeed. If you play the accelerative innings that gets your team into the playoffs, then you've to some extent done your job. This is fired in very short from Jadeja. Neesham's very powerful over mid-wicket. Jadeja doesn't want to feed that stroke, and he just pulls out to deep square leg for a single. 4 runs and a single off the this over the 17th. Jadeja's third. Wouldn't imagine that Jadeja will be asked to bowl out, although he might. As he's in last ball of the over. This one holds up in the surface a little bit. Jadeja's having to do his own fielding, chasing this out to square leg, but the man coming in off the rope beats him to it. 2 runs taken, so 6 runs off the over and the wicket. Kings 11 continue to stutter along. They're 113 for 5.
Yeah, we're pretty much up to date on Twitter.
So 113 for 5, 3 overs left to go. If it is that Huda can dominate the strike, then potentially 130, 135's in play. But
3 overs left, they should be looking at 140. I mean, Jordan can swing a bat. Huda's actually done quite well, 28 off 18. 3 overs, yeah. I mean, who's going to come back and bowl? Is Chahar going to bowl one more? He's done well today.
Yeah, and Gidi's got...
Curran must...
Gidi's got a couple, hasn't he?
And Gidi's got 2 left, Thakur's got 1 left, Curran's got 2 left, and Chahar's got 1 left. So yeah, Curran might bowl... Actually, I'm not sure who's going to bowl. Maybe Ngidi bowls 2 and Curran bowls 1?
Potentially.
Certainly looks like that is going to be the case. Certainly this man is coming back for the 18th.
Domination's the name of the game. In cricket or life, they're both just the same. So go get the guy who can turn the day. Let's play Lungi and Edie. Let's play Lungi and Edie. Are you down for Lungi and Edie?
Very good today, Lungi Ngidi. 2 for 10 off his 2 overs. With 2 beautiful slower balls dismissing the Kings 11 openers. He bowls this at full pace, and Neesham tries to pull over the leg side. I think it's more up than out. That's a really good catch from the man at deep mid-wicket. Again, possibly early mispositioning meant that he had to do more work than he might have done. But coming round to his right, taking the catch on the dive in mid-air. Really good stuff. I think that's Jagdishan out there on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and Lungi Ngidi has a third. Jimmy Neesham's reintroduction to the Kings 11 Punjab team. Well, at least he failed quickly. He's gone for 2. Now let's give him its full credit. It was Ruturaj Gaikwad, who's taken a few decent catches in this tournament, had some ground to make up to his right, watched it all the way, ran and lunged and dived to make sure that he took the catch. Very athletically taken, and Kings 11 are 113 for 6.
The only thing you can say in Neesham's defence is he's tried to hit the ball so far in front of square. That's what's give the fielder so much work to do. He's tried to hit it in front of square rather than at square or behind of square. But
he took it from quite a way outside off stump, which naturally leads to hitting it kind of straighter.
But a great catch.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to criticise someone for getting out trying to hit a 6 at this stage of the innings.
No, but you can still look at their execution.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't really move his feet or get his head towards the line of ball. He's fetching the ball from the long way outside.
I think he might have been done for pace as well, perhaps by Ngidi.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyway, this man who can swing a bat comes to the middle.
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry. More England caps will soon draw nigh. Or if they don't, then it will seem he'll wish he'd joined the Windies team.
Had a really tricky start to the to the IPL, Chris Jordan, but has performed a role with the ball. Hasn't had much to do with the bat, but he started with a 6, I think, on this occasion. Yes, it was a length delivery outside off stump, and surely that wasn't. Surely they must have crossed while that ball was in the air, but apparently that was Chris Jordan.
I thought that was Huda on strike.
It was Deepak Huda. Yeah, I was going to say. It was a lovely shot by Deepak Huda, his second 6. And like we saw Rahul and Agarwal earlier, threw his hands at it, opened the face, sliced it deliberately up and over the men up in the circle, and that is 6.
Oh, I say, champ, give me any lip.
And Gidi follows up with the wide Yorker, swinging away from Deepak Huda. Thoughts that it might be a wide, but not given by Pashim Pathak. Thoughts that Huda might have nicked it, and MS Dhoni has called for the review. And Gidi and Dhoni were pretty insistent that there was a nick.
Yeah, might as well. There's only 3 overs left.
That was out. That was definitely out. Was that definitely out? I thought no.
There was another off-cutter or leg cutter rather, from Lungi Ngidi. Huda was stretching at it. You can see Ngidi's just holding the ball. In fact, it was a sort of cross-seam slower ball. Ooh, maybe. I think that might have sort of rolled off the face of the toe, if that makes any sense. Sort of rolled along the toe of the bat.
I think they've heard the bat hit the ground. Can this be retrospectively given a wide?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I thought that bat might have hit ball, then bat hit ground. Can see why the umpire wouldn't have given that. It's not easy to work out what's going on.
Well, we need the odd edge. Here we go. There it is on the ground.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. The ball has rolled off.
Look at that. Well, you can see the shadow.
Oh, actually, maybe not, because actually
you can see the shadow.
Is it the ball or the bat on the ground?
No. It is bat.
Shadow.
Sorry, Al. It is bat on ground. Yes, you can see on the left there that the ball is slightly separated from the bat, and you can see the shadow of the ball on the bat. So I think it is just bat on ground, and the review will be lost.
Well, like I say, there's only 3 overs left. If you think there's any possibility of being out, I think it's fair enough to.
Oh yeah.
Give the review a spin.
No, but it's
usual that the shadow comes into play.
It's wide of the blue sort of marker line for the umpire, though, which is interesting, because you look at it then and go, well, actually, that really should be on width. That should be a wide. But like we said, I'm not sure about the review as a review, or whether you are out or not.
It's
the idea of, as a result of that, can you turn around and go?
I'm not sure that they'll retrospectively give it wide.
Also, it would be harsh to say that was too wide to hit, given that he's missed it by about.
Well,
an
that's
inch.
not really the rule. I mean, that's not the rule at all in T20.
No, that's fair. Good slower wide Yorker from Ngidi, though, completely foxed Deepak Huda.
Well, technically it was a wide, but I know it's a fine margin out there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the fine margins of what's reviewable, what's not reviewable, and the like. So,
Well, even occasionally, I have to agree with Gary and say, you can't. Technically, if you reviewed wide there, you'd have to review for wides all the time, and we've all got homes to go to, even though we're already in them.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of the interesting debates about what's reviewable and what's not reviewable in other sports.
Let's not get all VAR about this, lads. And Ngidi holding the ball cross seam again. He's in for the 4th ball of the over. Ball's full outside off stump, and when he's missed his length in this over, Deepak Huda has punished him. It ends up being a length ball. It ends up being slammed over extra cover. Second 6 of the over, a third for Deepak Huda, who is keeping Kings 11's innings alive by himself. Fabulous shot, poorly executed though from Ngidi.
Yeah, didn't get anywhere near the length. Yeah,
too short.
Yeah,
just in the slot.
Yeah, he's gone for the slower Yorker. It's ended up as a sort of shortish half volley, and credit to Deepak Huda, who's on 40 off 21 now. Must be his highest score over the season, particularly given how top heavy Kings 11 have been this year. But they have found people to step up when they've needed them to in this latter stage of the tournament. They won 5 in a row before their loss the other day, and without Ben Maxwell really firing. Mayank Agarwal's not been in the team the whole time. KL Rahul's been of limited utility, but they've found ways of staying competitive, and if they can scrape to 140 here, we may have a game. Ngidi's kept the same field with those two men back on the offside. This is a slower ball, which is a little bit shorter of that slot length, and it's just run down to third man. They'll come through for 2 runs, so 14 off the first 5 balls of this over, plus the wicket of Jimmy Neesham. That's the one ball that Ngidi's bowled at full pace in this over, and it did beat Jimmy Neesham for pace. It was a very good catch by Ruturaj Gaikwad.
You hope that Ngidi has seen that Huda is anticipating the wide ball. He's not even thinking about the idea there's going to be anything on the stumps. He's moving across he's moving right the way across his stumps as Ngidi approaches his delivery stride. So that wide ball isn't necessarily useful.
Well, that's too wide, and even with Huda walking across outside off stump, that is going to be signalled wide by any umpire, and indeed is signalled wide by this umpire.
Wide.
So reload that one. Kings 11 128 for 6 now, with 13 balls left over the innings. Last 5 overs, 53 for 2, so much better from Kings 11 after that horrible slowdown between the end of the power play and Deepak Huda coming to the middle. Gale and Puran contributing very little. Dipping slower ball again outside off stump, so Ngidi sticking to his plan, and indeed the field was set for that, and Huda's just punched this down to long off for a single. He's kept the strike, which I think is good news for Kings 11. 2 overs left, and after that expensive over, Kings 11 are 129 for 6 after 18.
Wobble Seam says Neesham's horror IPL continues. Rene Keita, I get the absurd suspicion this is orchestrated to be the 3rd match in a row to be chased in 14 overs. That is a little bit absurd, to be honest. Not sure why anyone would do that. Jay Grover, my houseplants are not an adequate substitute for a tree village, so I'm just going to make a lithograph of Ngidi's magnificent arse. Maybe we could get one of them from Dr. Dan, who's been sending us a few pictures while we've been off air. And for some, I don't really understand this one, but Jay says, Knackle saying lads gives me a centipede spine. Stop it. Oh, it just makes him kind of cringe, I think.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about who's going to bowl the 19th. It's not Sami Karan. It's not Deepak Chahar. It's this man.
How about getting on some media baser? Thacker's Indian, Thacker's a bowler. When he bats, disappointment. Shadow Thacker.
Given that last over, maybe Curran's going to bowl the last one.
Possibly.
Yeah, it could be. Lots of options. Lots of bowling options for Chennai Super Kings. 7 genuine bowlers used as opposed to Kings 11, who have 5 and a bit. Thakur is in for Deepak Huda. It's tight to middle and leg stump. Huda works it into the onside, and they'll come through for 2, even with Jadeja coming in off the mid-wicket boundary. This is quite a big ground, and, so the 2 was very easy. Thakur has grown into his role in this CSK team in the last few years, and has found himself in the Indian white ball, in and out of the Indian white ball squads. He will be on the plane to Australia. Underrated and occasionally sort of useful fulfiller of a role. Down the track comes Deepak Huda, and that's a really good shot, because he made what could have been a quite tricky delivery into a half volley by coming down the track and powered it over the offside. He's favoured the offside today, and with shots like that you can see why. 4 runs, he moves to 49.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Kind of the knuckleball there by Thakur, but the difference in intent between Huda and everyone else who hasn't been an opener has been stark.
Slower, shorter ball, which Huda is horribly deceived by, but manages to get some bat on it and paddle pulls round the corner. Deepak Huda brings up 50 of 26 balls, a very good innings, particularly given the context of the situation when he came in.
50 runs, your 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job has only just begun.
Yeah, it only scored 39 runs in 6 games before this innings in this tournament. That is his second IPL 50. His first was way back in 2015, so it's been a while, but a very valuable one, perhaps, particularly given that if Kings 11 win today, they will almost certainly make the playoffs, as Chris Jordan nudges this ball for 2 into the onside, gets himself off the mark with that scampered 2 balls left over the 19th over. Kings 11 138 for 6, so 150 is on now, which could well give us a game.
It was fascinating that as Jadeja came in from the boundary, about to unleash a cannon-like throwback to the stumps, he was about to take his own fielder's header.
Short ball pulled by Chris Jordan, but beaten for pace, I think, and it comes off the splice and rolls back to Thakur, a precious dot ball. Still decent over thus far for Kings 11. It's one of those overs that, having gone for 9 off the first 5 balls, the conception of the over is very much changed by this last delivery. 1 or 2 off it, and you kind of take that as the price of doing business. Bowling at the death, but a boundary here very much makes it a win for Kings 11. Last ball of Thakur's spell, last ball of the 19th. Ball slow and wide outside off stump. Might have been a wide if Jordan has left it, but you're a brave man leaving the ball at this stage of the innings. The toe ends a single out to cover. Shardul Thakur finishes with tiny-ish figures of 4 overs, 1 for 20. 4 overs, 1 for 27 is pretty good. You'd take that most days. Kings 11 139 for 6, entering the last over.
One of the batsmen is leaving the field.
It did look like Chris Jordan was wandering away for a loo break.
He's back. He is now walking backwards towards. It's going to be Ngidi who's going to bowl that last over. I did wonder whether it was that maybe he'd been too expensive in the over before, and maybe Curran would bowl. But turns out it's going to be Ngidi to continue.
Yeah, suppose you stick with the plan, which is fair enough, I guess. Sam Curran has not bowled at the death very often. Ngidi's, he had 2 very good overs and then 1 quite poor one. He'll be bowling to Chris Jordan initially. Interesting to see if the plan changes. Dhoni's in conversation with Faf du Plessis about what the plan is going to be. It was very much to bowl full and wide to Deepak Hooda. Wonder what they'll do for Chris Jordan. Haven't seen the field yet, so I can't really tell you.
It's got to be Jordan's job to get Hood on strike, really.
Possibly. I mean, if he sees it in the slot, Jordan can send the ball over the ropes.
But I felt that Jordan had a free hit off the last ball of that over, and he should really have tried to swing for the ropes. I know it was a slower ball wide, but it was quite difficult to do.
I think he was already backing away to leg, to be honest.
Yeah, there is some cover out there at deep point, but mostly on the leg side. Ngidi aims full and wide, but ends up being a slopped ball outside off stump, which Jordan feels he misses out on. He was trying to drive that over extra cover or even long off, but skewed it off the outside part of the bat. Gets a single though, and Hooda's back on strike.
So in the end, everything you both said was right. It was in the slot, aim for the stumps, but get a single, get Hooda on strike.
He wasn't aiming for the stumps, he was aiming for the wide Yorker, but he missed it short. We've seen in this tournament that it's much better to miss your Yorker long than short.
It generally is, yeah. It's a little bit easier to get underneath that half volley in the low full toss.
Men back are at deep point, almost third man really, a regular sort of cover point, long off, long on, and deep mid wicket. This is again pretty much in the slot, and Hooda's placed that really well. Faf du Plessis was in position at long off, reasonably wide, and he's a very quick fielder, but Hooda opens the face, gets it to his left, and picks up a boundary.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Again, Ngidi failing to execute the very clear plan.
Well, there's also, at this stage of the innings, I really don't think it's a good idea to try to bowl the same ball to the same batsman 5 times in a row.
No, I mean particularly not when he's nailed you.
3 of those times.
3 or 4 of those times, yes, and still no change to the field. So still the third man, still the deep cover, the long off, the long on, and the deep square leg. The long on has moved a little bit straighter. Ngidi bowls the slower ball, Yorker outside off stump, but does actually get it into the block hole this time, and it'll just be a single. This is a very much this is the sort of death bowling that only CSK would construct. Absolute faith in one plan.
Yes. But looking at the wider context of the game, they're going to get close to that 150, which I would say makes them underdogs, but not outright.
No, we've seen CSK have been quite good at chasing those low to middling totals. Certainly during the latter stages of the tournament, and Kings 11's bowling attack is very much their weaker suit. As Jordan faces up to the anti-penultimate ball of the innings. Dhoni throws at the stumps as Jordan misses, and they scramble a bye, but Dhoni misses, and then Ngidi can't collect at the bowler's end, and he's down in a heap, and they've the end result of all that is they've come through for a bye.
They've gone for a review. I think Ngidi's managed to hit the stumps.
Oh, so he did. The bail did fall off.
So they are going to a review, but to all intents and purposes, it looks like everybody's in.
And yes, Chris Jordan was in before Ngidi had let go of the ball. Very good, very athletic fielding from Ngidi, picking the ball up and diving at the stumps, but it was too late by the time all of that happened. Thank you, Al. I completely missed that in real time.
Good run though. I don't see that enough for me.
Yeah, indeed. We were talking about last over running earlier.
Commitment to the plan from Punjab this time. At least good awareness that their best chance at the moment is the more balls Huda faces, the better off they're going to be.
And they'll hope he faces up to these last 2 balls. 7 off the first 4 balls of the over so far, including the bye. It was a very good dipping off spinner, basically, from Ngidi. The throw just took a little while to arrive at Ngidi, which meant that he had to do an awful lot of work very quickly, too quickly for anyone. That's a full toss, a waist-high full toss. Huda's slogged this over the leg side, and he slogged that a long way over the leg side. It's a big boundary out there, but he's cleared it pretty comfortably. Another 6 to Deepak Huda.
Is that a no ball?
Not quite.
2 still poor bowling.
4, 6.
Yeah, we were talking about missing your Yorker long. That's too long.
Not that long, no.
Yeah, I think it's a waist-high full toss. A 79-meter slog up onto the grass bank, and Preeti Zinta in the Kings 11 dugout is very happy, dressed as Where's Wally. Up over the 150, 152 for 6. 1 ball left of the innings. Can Ngidi get out of this over with minimal damage? Well, he bowls a full toss outside off stump, and Huda slices it to Imran Tahir at mid wicket up in the circle. They come through for the single, but 14 off that last over after taking 16 off Ngidi's previous over, and with a late burst that looked like it was never going to come, Kings 11 Punjab have got themselves to 153 for 6. Very much an innings of 3 halves.
Well, it's all down to Deepak Huda. I mean, 62 off 30, came in a pressure position, really, really good. And if CSK can burgle this game, they should all be buying him a drink of his choice this evening.
If Kings 11 can burgle this game, you mean?
Yes, that's certainly what I meant to say. Yes.
Very much. Yeah, very much the case. 62 off 30 with 3 4s and 4 6s. Taking on Lungi Ngidi to really good effect, who had been very good up until that point. KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal pretty much playing to type with 29 off 27 and 26 off 15 respectively. Rahul batting for a fairly long period but slowing down. Mayank Agarwal a good start but not able to go on. Chris Gale 12 off 19, one of his longer T20 boundaryless innings. Nicholas Pura not there long enough to make any kind of impact, 2 off 6. Mandeep Singh, who gave decent support to Huda for a while, 14 off 15. Jimmy Neesham 2 off 3, and then Chris Jordan basically acting as Deepak Huda's runner. There was that long 7 over boundaryless period after the end of the power play. The CSK spinners were very good, and as for them, as was Ngidi in the early part of his spell. Deepak Chahar, not his best day, 3 overs, none for 30. Sam Curran only used for 2 overs, none for 15. Wonder if we'll see him come up the order. Shardul Thakur, very good, 4 overs, 1 for 27. Ngidi started very well, but his last 2 overs were expensive, 4 overs, 3 for 39. Imran Tahir, 4 overs, 1 for 24, his first wicket of the tournament in his last game, and Ravindra Jadeja bowling 3 overs, 1 for 17. Kings 11 need, Chennai need 154 to get this win. Kings 11 have to defend this target of 153, and if they win, they are almost certainly into the playoffs. We'll take a bit of.
Let me catch up Twitter before we
go ahead.
Wobble seam, Lungi very capable of bowling good short ones. Some of his death bowling has been inexplicable. Armchair Cricket Podcast, timely knock by Huda has given this team a total to bowl at for sure. Also reminded those of us who have forgotten how good he can be with the bat. And Jay wants someone to buy me a new shirt for Christmas. Careful what you wish for, Jay, because I'm pretty sure this shirt was a Christmas present. Maybe I'll get another one.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to have a brief break, sort of 10 minutes or so over the innings break, and we'll go back to a chat we did some months ago now with the very entertaining and extremely interesting Devon Malcolm.
Hospitality boxes and have to pay a lot of money to listen to Devon Malcolm, but one of the casualties of the whole biosecure thing has been the whole sort of corporate hospitality. Devon, you're an ambassador for English Cricket Board, aren't you? And you do a lot of work at these games, so you've got a bit of time on your hands, and it's Guerrilla Cricket's gain. Welcome along.
Thank you indeed. With the lockdown, you managed to get a bit of access to me right now. So in the normal times, what would happen, as you said, I do quite a lot at the test matches for the PCA, the Professional Cricket Association, via the ECB. So we normally entertain guests, say lunchtime, and even during the game, what you call the 12-man hub, or we normally do the boxes and talking about, probably the session and entertain our punters, right through the day, and get them a bit closer. I mean, the spectators get a bit closer to us, who, when we're doing our thing on the field, they didn't have that much access. So we're a lot more closer to the fans, a bit more accessible, put it that way.
Well, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. As I say, it's our gain, and all those punters lost. And so, Devon, you're used to entertaining people at lunchtime. You'd be amazed at a number of our team who claim to have played against you. I've actually played with you in the Bunbury's team, but you won't remember my spell. But you might remember Hendo, aka Nigel Henderson of the Times, because he's definitely played against you, haven't you, Hendo?
Yeah, I kind of avoided 3 balls that Devon bowled at me. I think he was playing for Sheffield at the time. I was playing for York, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he won't remember me, but he might remember. Do you remember a player called Simon Kippax, son of Peter Kippax? Devon?
Of course, son of Kippax. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. Well, I was batting with him towards the end of the game, and this would have been 1986. Yeah. And I managed to watch you mainly from the non-strikers end. That was probably the best place to be. But I do remember Simon Kippax, who was a bit of a fiery character, running down the wicket to you in the final over of our innings. I mean, did you often have people running down the wicket at you in club cricket?
No, not really. But I mean, probably was towards the end of that over, and you lucky you were at the non-strikers end, so you can live to tell it there. But way back in those early days in the Yorkshire League, as you said, I was playing for Sheffield United. Then, I was pretty quick, very erratic, so you could get a bouncer, you could get a beamer, anything. So it was rather silly running down to the pitch to me, actually, because pretty brave, pretty foolhardy. But generally, like most cricket, when I get it right, whether in the Yorkshire League or all the way to international, I normally sort a few batsmen out. But in that case, yeah, it was rather it was rather brave to do that in those early stages of my career. Yeah.
Well, it was the sort of stupidity of youth and In his case, I think.
Yeah, because Devon, you're not one of the Chris Jordans who came over on a cricket scholarship. You emigrated at 16 and had to work your way through playing for Yorkshire schools, right? You came here from Jamaica at the age of 16. Is that right?
Yes, as I said, as you said, actually, my dad was, just off the Ringrush, early 60s. So I joined him later on, as a 16-year-old here, as a student, and we lived in Sheffield. So, I didn't even play any cricket for a couple of years. While I was in Sheffield, I normally run around with my mates on the street playing football. And one weekend, one of my mates dragged me and said, look, the Westons were touring actually in the early 80s. And he said, I bet you can play cricket. I said, matter of fact, I used to play when I was in Jamaica. So he took me off to, he dragged me off to a place called Shire Green in Sheffield to have a ball. A couple of the guys there, these big men, and I had them jumping around for their life. And they asked me, who do I play for? And he said, my mate doesn't play cricket, sir. He hasn't played for a few years. And he said, you must be joking. And it just happened very quickly from then. As I said, I was at Richmond College. I was doing okay. I got a cricket club in the league, doing all right. And I got hooked up from there to playing senior school cricket. And I played in York in the early 80s. I reckon it was 81.
You had to
Metcalf and all those guys. And,
you had to leave Yorkshire to get a game in professional cricket because Yorkshire had a policy of only playing people born in Yorkshire.
Indeed, that's exactly how it was then, way back then. You couldn't play for Yorkshire. And I said I played Yorkshire Senior School, and they actually advised me, said, look, in the early days, you've got some pace, you've got some potential, but the rule is that you haven't been born in Yorkshire. Even Michael Vaughan later on, he wouldn't be able to play for Yorkshire because born in Lancashire. So I was told that, probably have to look somewhere else to play. Probably that's the highest level I could represent Yorkshire, that was senior school. So an incident happened where I managed to played in the Yorkshire League. I was selected in 1984 in a Yorkshire League Select 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club at a place called Castleford. And so I was at college, so I nicked the Friday off college, went to Castleford to play. Opened the batting was Martin Moxon and Jeff Boycott. And it was just one of those things. You're at the right place. Talent is one thing, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. Running, as I said, it was early March in 1984. Running to bowl my first over at Martin Moxon. A clean bowling with the Yorker, his middle peg out of the ground. My second over, same fate happened to a guy called Mr. Jeff Boycott. A clean bowling as well with the Yorker, knock his stump out of the ground. And for the first time in the league history, actually, Yorkshire League actually beat Yorkshire County Cricket Club in 1984. Thanks to me, I took 3 wickets and we beat Yorkshire. And it happened very quickly. Had a big write-up in the Yorkshire Post then, and the headline was York's been Devon cream. So the coach at Derbyshire saw it, invited me to Derby on the Monday for a trial. He came down to Bawtry Road where we were practicing on the Saturday. Invited me on the Monday to Derby for a trial. I told him no, I could not because I'm at college. I said my dad would kill me if he found out that I need 2 days of college to play cricket. So he insisted I should pop down. Went down, and they offered me a contract there and then. And so you talk about talent, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. But getting the right person out as well. And the moral of the story is, even now, if you see Jeff Boycott and you possibly want a response from Boyks, just mention the word Devon Malcolm, and I promise you, probably give you the response to say, look, if it wasn't for his wicket way back in 1984, nobody would have heard of Devon Malcolm. How great a batsman Jeff Boycott was. So at the right place at the right time, got a great batsman out in Jeff Boycott. And I was a professional 2 days later, and history really. So it was one of those lucky breaks in a way. Apart from the talent, I've never been in any academies or anything like that. So I reckon starting my international career, my first class career, have a massive bearing on Mr. Jeff Boycott.
Well, the credit shouldn't go. The credit Boycott will take the credit.
Good morning, everybody. It's always great to hear Devon Malcolm. He's got such enthusiasm for life and for cricket. He is a fascinating person. And we're in a fascinating situation here, Tony and Nestle Boy. My name is Al Hotch, and welcome you cricket revolutionaries to the second innings of this first of our double headers. The equation is really quite simple for Kings 11 Punjab. Prevent CSK, stop them from chasing down 154, protect 154, and it's going to turn the RCB Delhi Capitals game into a winner takes all, loser goes home match.
Are we assuming in that equation then that the Sunrisers are pretty much nailed on?
I don't think it's going to matter. I think on run rate, the Kings 11's run rate's going to go up if they protect and win. And then their run rate is going to be better than both Delhi and RCB. So someone's going to have to drop out of that equation. I think if Sunrisers win, certainly I think if it is that if Kings 11 win, I think they're in.
Well, the Sunrisers at the moment, or before this, Kings 11 0.133, Sunrisers 0.555. That's quite a
minus.
Yeah, sorry, minus 0.133. Yes. Whereas the Sunrisers is in credit.
Yes, no. But RCB and Delhi Chargers play against each other, so I think for Kings 11, it's really just about winning in.
I don't get it, because you have to assume the Mumbai Indians are there. Oh, right. Okay. Currently, the Kings 11 are on 12. They can only get on to 14.
Yeah. Delhi Capitals and RCB play each other.
Yes, I see. So one of those is going to have to finish on 14 with a lower run rate. I now see where you're coming from. Very good. It's a bit of a mind wrangler, isn't it? When you look at a table with only 8 teams where they're actually really tightly bunched.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a couple of permutations due to the way
and the CSK are just having fun.
Yeah.
How many parties can they poop? They've rained on 2 parades in the last 2 games. Can they do the same again today?
They've given themselves every chance, but let's jingle up our batsmen.
Standing at the ATM was Rutaraj Gaikwad. Everybody pushing in front of the lad. Oh, do come on, you'll never get himself that way.
Duplessis, life goes on, right? La, life goes on.
Good effort by DJ Hoodie Hooder as well, I thought.
I thought he was brilliant.
Played a superb knock.
It is Maxwell's replacement who's going to open the bowling, apparently.
Whoops, oh look, here comes another slow ball. Jimmy Neesham's bowled another slow ball.
So it looks like it. Well, I know in a couple of games earlier on that they've bowled Maxwell right at the beginning, so like for like replacement, so Neesham just comes on and bowls the first over. So Neesham with the white ball in his hand, 154 to win, and that's a good length ball just outside off stump, and it can only be defended into the offside, and there'll be no run. Tony, who do you think are favourites?
I always like to look at past scores. 163, so 153, 10 south of that. On that basis, I would say CSK have the wind in their sails at the moment, albeit it's not going to sail them into the qualifiers.
True. Neesham coming in for the second ball of this first over, and that is a bit on leg side, but Gaikwad can only turn that to mid-wicket, and there'll be no run again.
Do we think Tony will play one of his weird innings?
Depends what you mean by weird.
Well, a chase that doesn't really chase anything, I think, is what you're referring to there, isn't it, Nestlers?
Where he comes in and just defends.
Deliberately stop short. Yeah,
it's hard to see a circumstance that would happen in, because it's a pretty low total.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. You think
he is an enigma, though. He can be
wrapped in
enigmatic.
Mystery.
Yes.
As Nisham comes in, and Gaikwad kind of throws his hands at that, but it goes just behind square. But there's a deep backward square there, and Gaikwad is off the mark, and so are CSK.
He's only got a couple of more hours to go, as he said the other day. What did he say? 12 more hours of this to go?
12 more hours of... I can't remember what he described it as.
Yeah.
I think his tongue was in his cheek in whatever it was that he said.
Well...
Also, we can't add up because it isn't going to be 12. It wasn't going to be like 12 hours, but there we go. Maybe it just seemed longer than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, we've talked about it a few times. I'll hold the thought.
And that is down the leg side of Duplessis. There is an appeal from Rahul, not fooling the umpire at all, and that's a wide.
Wide.
Look, umpire, it wasn't as wide as you think it was. No, yeah, yes, it was. Your funny thoughts, sir.
Oh no, just the freedom with which Chennai Super Kings, you know, they hit a streak of form when it's literally too late. You know, stable doors and all that in a way, but they just seem to almost be enjoying that role that they've got now. In a
slightly slower ball by Nisham, as his jingle dictates, and that is just watched by Duplessis. Bounces twice before it goes through to Rahul behind the stumps, and with 2 balls left to go, CSK are 2 for no wicket.
Well, they're playing without any kind of pressure, aren't they? I mean, you know, they're just playing cricket.
Very much so. Is Mohammed Shami playing? Just out of interest, I think
he is. I think he'll probably bowl over number 2. Nisham in for the penultimate ball of the over, and that's right on a good line and length, and Duplessis can only defend that back to the bowler, and there'll be no run.
The reason I was asking is Faf goes pretty well against him. 57 off 29, which I think is figures for this IPL.
Right. That might be historic, but
either way, he goes pretty well against him.
Yeah. Well, we will soon see. Last ball of this first over, and Nisham has come in and done a reasonable job with this first over, but that's usually the commentator's kiss of death. And that is wide outside of Stumple, and Duplessis has hit this ball well in front of square, and there'll be a desperate chase, which is fruitless. I am sorry, Jimmy Nisham, that's all my fault. And that's 4 for Duplessis off the last ball of the over.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Just couldn't stop myself from saying it.
Al needs a nose ring. Tony's coming down. Nestlers, change your background, please. Your fans demand it. Well, there you go.
What have you changed it to?
It's hard to see because you're obviously.
It's dark and gloomy. Is that from? Looks like it's the lamppost from The Exorcist.
Ah, yeah. So I recognise it now.
Oh, come on, Nestlers. You know, I know.
But you're covering up the key part of that image, which is the silhouette figure looking up.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to make it bloody obvious, do I?
Yeah, but at the moment it just looks like you're in a dark room with a spot of light. That's about all you can see. And
it is going to be Mohammed Shami who's going to bowl the second over. So let's have his jingle.
He's coming down fast and moving it too. Tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured. Look out, Mohammed Shami. Mohammed Shami. Mohammed Shami.
And Shami, who is in for that first ball of the second over, and all Gaikwad can do with that good length ball just outside off stump is to block it into the covers, and there'll be no run.
So Wobble Seam reckons the Faf backlift is a work of art.
Yeah, he's good to watch. He's quite stylish, I think, in his approach to the game is Faf.
And Blair is quoting Dhoni to KL Rahul: if I can't go to the playoffs, then I'll at least shit over your chances to make it.
Potentially, Shami in, and that ball is played and missed at by Gaikwad, and Shami has a half appeal off, exasperated wave to the gods about how he could be so unlucky with that. nicely shaped ball with the second ball of the second over.
Did Jay Grover ever tell us who was going to play him in his life story? By the way,
He did talk about Mr. Anafriel, David Thewlis.
Oh right, okay.
Who he's married to? Yeah.
Yep. Well, it used to. Well, maybe was, but is. Well, certainly was married. Maybe still.
They often don't last long, those kind of marriages, though.
True enough. And Shami as. Now I'm wondering if that was a drop. It was driven by Gaikwad, and then there was a half stop and pointing by one of the fielders. I thought maybe that was an indication maybe of a drop, but simply maybe a half stop. No run, all the same. So we're 6 for no wicket. Halfway through the second over. And Shami comes in for the fourth ball of this over. And that is a wideish ball, nicely shaped, maybe moving away through the air and off the pitch. And Gaikwad is not really in a position to play the shot that he's tried to play. Maybe would have been wideish to cut, but tried to drive at the ball, and there's a swing and a miss through to the keeper. And
Definitely shaped away. Definitely got some movement in the air there, did Mohamed Shami. And I think we're seeing a replay of Jimmy Neesham just to emphasise that point. Jimmy Neesham put it wide without much movement. Yeah. Shami just had that little bit extra bit of swing, having pitched it pretty much in the same place.
Fifth ball of the over, and Gaikwad's played that uppishly through the line, but only hits mid-off. No run, and this has been runless so far. I do not want to curse Shami the same way that I cursed Neesham, so I will let Tony do that with his prediction for the final ball of the over.
Well, it is true to say that, maiden overs in T20s are, about as rare as shit from a rocking horse, so we shall see. Highly unlikely, I would have thought. But,
highly unlikely.
That said, it's a nailed-on dot ball then.
And that is wide down leg side. Rahul
Mohamed Shami, what have you done?
Tony Bishop, what have you done? 5 wide.
Well, I said it wasn't going to be a maiden over, to be fair.
Wide.
You did.
But I didn't expect it to not be a maiden over with a ball that rank.
So it had in swing shaped to the right-handed batsman.
Wide.
And
wide.
How many wide jingles are we playing?
Well, I think 5.
It was that wide.
Well, it was a wide, and it went for 4.
Indeed. So 5 wides. I'm with you. I've got it now.
And that's, amazingly enough, a good ball outside off stump, which is fielded just behind square. And that's the end of the over. Just those 5 wides coming off it for Shami and Nestlers. What has the world of social media got to say to us?
Jay is saying that was obvious on All Souls Day. I think he means my backdrop. And Leia's not a fan. She says, so Nestle's theme of the day seems to be vastly overrated shit Americans commit to film. I think that's a bit harsh. The Exorcist, I saw it back in the late 70s.
I dare you. Find a Citizen Kane picture and put that up and see how she reacts.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, just
Rosebud.
No, go on.
Bloody social media and its opinions. No, it scared the living daylights out of me when I saw it, and I only saw it once and vowed never to see it again, and I haven't.
Good.
I spent 2 weeks without being able to go to sleep.
Come on, that was some Doctor Who.
How old were you when you first saw it then, Nestlers?
17.
Changing the bowling. Chris Jordan will be bowling. We'll let Nestle. Let Knuckle jingle him up after this delivery, and that is a attempted drive by Faf to a ball slightly back of a length, and he's under-edged that, but only under-edged that back to Jordan, and there'll be no run. So let's
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry, more England caps will soon draw nigh. Or if they don't, then it will seem he'll wish he'd joined the windy team.
I'm not legging it to Syndham to play that jingle, Al.
Fine. And that's a slightly slower delivery, but Duplessis waits for it and plays that to deep point. and he will move to 5 off 5. Gaikwad struggled to get going so far, 1 off 9 deliveries.
Wobble Seam is liking Sherry's beard. One of the best this IPL, he reckons.
Yeah,
there has been a few wonderful beards on show.
And that's just in amongst the commentators.
True enough. True enough.
Like Chris Jordan's got. That's a beard, isn't it? It's,
degree
either that
of
or
growth
it's
going.
it's definitely on the beardy end of designer stubble.
When is lazy not shaving turn into a beard? Disgust. And that is wide outside off stump, and Gaikwad can only hit the fielder backward of square.
Apparently, sorry, Al, Wobble Seam has a magnificent beard, apparently.
Oh, does Wobble Seam?
I wonder if he could send us a picture of it then.
Well, we've got a picture of it.
Well, we must have, hence to know. It's just I'm not looking at it.
I'm not looking at it either, so I will look at it after 5 overs.
But it is, by all accounts, magnificent.
It's on his profile picture on his Twitter feed.
I will find Wobble Seam's beard, and I will look at it, and I will pass judgment.
Pretty good.
Jordan in, and that is short of a length, and Duplessis has tried to pull that away. He's been incredibly... Oh, sorry, Gaikwad's been incredibly lucky. Slightly over mid-wicket, wide of mid-on. The ball just drops harmlessly between them, and they're able to scramble through for 2. But Tony looked in all sorts of trouble there. I think beat from the pace as much as anything else.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't in control of the shot, but it got him some runs. I mean, I'm thinking when you asked me, who was favourite, another consideration is, remember last time these two played? Chennai Super Kings absolutely walloped the Kings 11 by 10 wickets. Runs, I think, for Duplessis and Watson on that occasion.
And where's Shane Watson gone?
He's been, well, maybe it's because it's Halloween. We know he's got a track record of not being keen on ghosts.
True enough. And that is down the leg side, and Gaikwad's come down the track, and he has pulled that away. And that's our first 6 of the CSK innings.
Yeah, every time you see it, it's just magnificent.
Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6.
It's kind of one step forward and flamingoed that square, hasn't he, Tony?
He did. Struck that beautifully indeed.
20 for no
CSK,
wicket.
I think.
20 for no wicket. Last ball of the 3rd over coming up, and just Gaikwad steps away, and we'll slightly reset. But Jordan's coming in to bowl the last ball of the over, and that is a slower ball, full toss, way outside off stump. And Gaikwad has pushed that through to deep, in front of deep cover, in front of square, and they've run through for 2. So 11 off that first Jordan over.
Kings 11, remember, in their power play were 53 for the loss of the 1 wicket. So CSK are halfway through the power play, bit south of their target to match that, but all wickets in hand.
Well, there was just this dramatic deceleration that came after the power play for Kings 11.
Yeah, so I'm my gut feel is telling me it's another day for the Super Kings to rain on another parade. The 3rd consecutive parade that has been rained upon, it would become.
Is that 5th element, Nestle boy?
Very quick.
You can't beat a bit of Luc Besson. As we see Jimmy Neesham come back into the attack for his 2nd over.
Whoops, all up, here comes another slow ball. Jimmy Neesham's bowled another slow ball.
And it's so Neesham will bowl his 2nd over. His first one went for 6. Just the boundary at the last ball of the over. And Duplessis come down the track and only able to find Jordan, I think, who is fielding at mid-off, and there'll be no run. But you can see that he feels like he's got the measure of Neesham's pace, or lack thereof. He really wanted to smear that down the ground. Only finds the fielder though.
from Nikita, one of Luc Besson's canon of works, I think it was, from rough recollection.
Nisham in, slightly back of a length, and Duplessis doesn't quite know whether to drive or cut, and in the end kind of plays just this weak, dribbly shot that mid-off fields, and there is no run. I think Leon's my favourite.
Oh, I love Leon, yeah.
Yeah, no, Leon. Who's the actress in Leon?
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman, of course it is. It's a curious film where you feel there's something weird in the relationship, but it just sort of somehow seems okay, even though it shouldn't be.
And Duplessis is down the track, and that has been dropped. The fielders outside the circle were square of the wicket either side, which meant that mid-on and mid-off had to do an awful lot of running down the ground in order to catch up with it, and it would have been a difficult over-the-shoulder catch. But unfortunately for Kings 11, that's gone down, and Duplessis will take 2 runs and move on to 7. Oh, maybe 1 run. He moved on to 7. But that's in the hands and out again. And it's the impact of elbow onto ground, I think, that's made that spill. Tony?
It was, yep.
And the man of the moment, Huda.
Okay.
And Duplessis is trying to up the ante. He's turned round and he's on one knee, and that's a ramp shot, and that's gone for 6.
Having been struck by the bat, the ball pitches beyond the boundary. It's a 6.
That's gone over long leg, and Nisham responds slightly back of a length onto off stump, and Duplessis will whip that square leg or a single. CSK with 1 ball left to go in the 4th over, 31 for no wicket, and making the most of the extra life that he's been given. Faf. Tony.
Yes, he is. Sorry, the cat was attempting to jump up onto the table, which was rather distracting me for a moment there.
Well,
he's nosing my notes.
No, let the cat on. Another gorilla pet.
She's a bit shy, Suki. She might not wish to be in the global limelight that gorilla cricket would cast upon her.
Come on.
Last ball of the 4th over. Back of a length, and Gaikwad just dabs the ball down, and by the time that the cover fielder comes in, they've already run the single. 32 off 4 overs. Nestle boy.
Jay Grover says the person to blame is not his choice. It was said by teenage students. He'd go for Tilda Swinton. She might make it interesting in a Beckett arse sniffing way. She'd get the lazy not shaving down pat as well. Wobble Seam says, Nesters and Tony, greetings from Bombay, gentlemen.
Hello to you. Always delighted to have you with us.
Flamingo always reminds me of Trent Bolt and his Flamingo back defence, he says, as well. And also, he says, till the end it wasn't clear who'd our man going for that catch between Dayak and Jordan. Who the man?
You think it had been 1, then it would have been taken? Do you think the element of uncertainty, ultimately, even though it was, it was dropped as it bounced from the elbows, Knackle doesn't think so?
Huda was the offending fielder.
Well, he's in credit for the day, though.
Well, maybe, with the 60 odd. So it's going to be Shami who's going to come in for the 5th over. So a change of ends for Shami.
He's coming down fast and moving it too.
And Shami is in. Full length ball outside off stump, drivable length, and Gaikwad needs no further invitation. Through the gap in the covers, and a very classy boundary for Gaikwad. Beautiful, short follow through. Watched it all the way. Right in the gap. Just as a textbook would draw it up, Tony.
Yep, beautiful shot.
Shami in again, slightly back of a length, and again very quick between the wickets. Gaikwad and Duplessis just to the right of backward point, but there was never any danger of a single not being taken, and Duplessis will move on to strike. He's 14 off 10, Gaikwad 17 off 16, an acceleration off his original 1 off 9, and CSK are right where they need to be.
Yeah, they are. Current run rate of 8.5, required run rate 7.4. They're ahead of the game, and they've got all their wickets in hand, which of course is pretty crucial when you have quality the likes of Faf at the crease.
Deep point and fine leg are our two fielders outside of the circle, and Duplessis comes down the track and turns Yorker into a full toss. Mid-off can't stop it, and that's another 4 for Duplessis.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Very quick to get down the track there, Duplessis, and he's turned lemons into lemonade there, and the bounce is beaten mid-off.
Dived under it, didn't he?
Yeah, tennis ball bounce, really, wasn't it? By the time he dived in order to try and stop it, ball was.
If that was a football goalkeeper, you'd say the goalkeeper's got to be disappointed with that.
He's got to be doing more than that, Jim. He's got.
Only he'd say it in a Scottish accent, obviously.
Well, obviously. I mean, take a boo, son. Take a boo.
Hey.
So, Shami in. 9 off the first 3 balls. Duplessis walks across his stumps and whips that through the leg side, and that's going to be a chase. But able to be stopped.
Didn't get all of it, I don't
comfortable too. Yeah, I think it didn't quite time it as he might like to.
Hint of inside edge. If he'd have got the meat on that, I suspect it would have gone the distance.
It's interesting that they've used their fielder outside the circle. On the leg side is more fine leg, kind of indicating that Shami might bowl one short and try and catch them on the hook, but nothing doing so far. Shami in for the 5th ball of the over, and a good full length ball, but that's hit by Duplessis to mid-on, and they'll take a single. So that's 12 off the overs so far. One last ball of this 5th over, then there'll be a bit of a change around.
Poor old Mohammed Shami. It all went wrong for him from the moment we said he's going to bowl a maiden over.
Yeah, when we said that, yeah.
He then, somebody suggested it. I was sort of railroaded into half suggesting he might.
You were railroaded into a prediction. The fact that your prediction was quite so catastrophic for Shami and his career is neither here nor there. And that's the last ball of the over, a good length ball. All Gaikwad can do is push it to mid-on, there's no run, and the next voice you'll hear will be Nestle Boy, and then Knuckle will take over on ball by ball.
Well, sorry, I was preparing for Tony to carry on, but I'll carry on. Leia can't decide which best on film she likes best. It's either Subway or Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets based on the comments. Wobblestein's waiting for Tony to say that his cat could have hit it with a stick of rhubarb. Jay Grover says, Luke, best on his mint. A bit French though. Alan's not letting the punters have a pop, so I'm reduced to saying Nestler's wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. I am. Well spotted. Wobblestein was making a hopeless pun on Deepak Huda's last name.
Yeah, Knuckle pointed that out to me, whereas unusually, because I'm normally fairly well tuned for puns, but for some reason it went straight over my head.
I don't think you can commentate on Guerrilla Cricket for very long unless your pundar is pretty well attuned. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. CSK, as Kings 11 were, 44 for none off 5 overs. Pace in the power play has travelled today. In fact, no, some of the bowling's been decent. We did see that excellent attempt at a catch from Deepak Huda, just fall short, or not fall short exactly, but couldn't quite hold on. Kings 11, unlike CSK, have gone to spin in the power play, and they've gone for this jack in the box.
There once was a boy whose name was Rafi.
44 for none, 110 more for win for CSK to put Kings 11 out of the playoffs. That's a lovely shot by Faf du Plessis, a little bit over pitched by Ravi Bishnoi. Long off was back, but there's no one at cover, and Faf threaded it between the fielders in the ring. 4 runs.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
For a guy with a very dominant bottom hand, he is very powerful through the offside, Faf du Plessis, and he timed that one beautifully.
Also has his hands very far apart on the bat.
He does indeed.
Which also leads towards bottom hand dominance.
He does indeed, but he's, as I say, he's good through cover, he's good through point with that very wide backlift, and he's just stepped and hit this one, just lofted it with that strong bottom hand to get it up and over Long off, who was in position, but was about 30 yards away from where that ball landed. 4 then 6.
Super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, rocka, rocka, super shatter.
2 balls, 2 full, 2 balls punished.
Can I just say I'm here to put the pun in punditry?
Ah, very good.
Thank you, thank you.
That, however, is an awful. That's not even a pun on screen.
Exactly. Give me a job on these scoreboards.
Fabulous, fabulous. It's right there. 100 needle.
Well, you could have said Fab du Plessis. I mean, that would have been fine.
Bishnoi in. Has he got the comeback immediately? No, he was a little bit quicker, a little bit straighter, fired it into the pads of Faf du Plessis, and they come through for a leg by. In fact, they don't come through for a leg by. They wanted to, but it bounced straight to mid-wicket. Good comeback from Ravi Bishnoi. Big appeal, but absolutely no
possible inside edge, and
review.
it looked to me like it was also sliding down leg as well.
I think it
Just
was.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, my initial thought was it was going down leg. I'm not sure there is an inside edge. There wasn't an inside edge, but it's almost hit him outside leg stump. Good delivery though from Bishnoi. Just bowl a good googly. That's a googly, and it does turn sharply. Faf du Plessis off the back foot punches to cover. There is no run. Better length from Ravi Bishnoi.
Well, sometimes, quite often actually, CSK suddenly look very competent, and you wonder why they struggle so much.
Competence has been the way that CSK have been so successful. They've never been that spectacular a team, but they all know what they're doing. It just took them so long to work out what they were trying to do at the start of the tournament. And Mohammed Shami does some old-fashioned fielding, racing back from short fine leg towards the fine leg boundary as Faf tickles this off his hip, and with that little bit of size 9 work from Mohammed Shami, 2 runs are saved. I think that came off
3
off
I
the
think
bat.
time to get 3.
Yeah, Mohammed Shami's put his spike straight on the ball, which won't help.
Can't do that.
I don't know if that counts as ball tampering, smacking the spike through the ball.
they
Leg
did get
buys, in
3.
fact, clipped off the thigh pad, and yes, they only saved 1 run. So Ruturaj Gaikwad facing up to the last ball of the power play. As Bishnoi comes in with that very angular run, and it's turned by Gaikwad to Jimmy Neesham at mid-wicket. There is no run, so 10 runs off the bat, and the 3 leg by CSK after 6, 57 for 1. Kings 11, I think, were 57 for none. Kings 11 were 53 for 1, I think, off the power play. But this is where it all went wrong for Kings 11.
They were indeed. Jersey Oaks has sent a picture of Donald Pleasance as Blofeld, saying, "I'm sure I've seen Tony and his cat somewhere before." Jay Graver says, "Maybe I'm wrong, and Tony was coked off his tits. He were just trying to negotiate with Suki, who seems a hard mistress. She's just persistent rather than hard, I would say. But she seems to have settled down quite happily now, listening to me burble."
Hopefully, it's soothing for everyone. I mean, us all burbling, not just you.
Yeah, I'm not the only burbler.
Yeah.
No.
Speaking of Bond and bad Scottish accents, the death of Sean Connery did not go unremarked
Very
upon.
sad.
Yeah, I mean he was 90 years old.
Good innings, 90 though.
Yes. Yes, indeed. It was. He was offered. He was offered a contract by Matt Busby at Man United.
That's got to be an urban myth.
It was. I think it's been confirmed by some reputable sources.
Oh, okay.
Who are?
People who aren't Sean Connery, or basically, it wasn't something he spread around.
Well,
I don't think.
Just some bloke who met somebody else down
No,
the pub.
I think it's one of those things that various people at Man United have confirmed. Things were different back then.
Well, they were, but given that I'd never heard that ever, and I'm sure you hadn't either, Tony.
No, I hadn't.
I'm a bit sceptical.
Yes, let me try and find the exact source. While I'm doing that, we can jingle up Kings 11's other leg spinner, so it's dual tweak.
When I feel it's time we have a ball.
What a tune! The Stone Temple
That's
Pilots.
when I
Love
call
it.
Maruk and Ashwin when I see the overreach behind. He can ride us through 'em quick.
Ashwin and Ravi Bishnoi have been useful for Kings 11 in these middle overs. Both bowl a good googly and both bowl with a little bit of pace. Ashwin is in outside off stump, but Duplessis stays back in the crease and guides it out to deep point for a single. 58 for no loss.
Now, was it Bishnoi earlier in the tournament who's doing this bizarre thing where he was bowling right arm over, but as if he was a left armer coming through?
Yeah,
through and
he'd
over.
He'd come sort of through the umpire almost,
Yeah.
as if he was playing peekaboo with the batsman.
Yes.
It's extraordinary.
Through and over, he's been doing that, and Rahul Chahar at Mumbai Indians has been doing that as well. This is outside off stump, and Gaikwad going to this pass backward point, but the man at deep point will keep it to a single. I'm honestly surprised that I've not seen it before, because it's sort of the one innovation in angles that seemed left. You see bowlers going through and round a lot.
Yeah, but I don't see the point of it.
I guess
I
it just
don't see how
messes-
it can possibly be easier.
It just messes-
bowling right arm over regularly like he is today.
I don't think it is necessarily about it being easier. This is a very good take down the leg side from KL Rahul. Really good wicket keeping. It was the googly from M. Ashwin. Duplessis has been adjudged to have turned it off the face of the bat to KL Rahul, but he has reviewed it, hence my use of the word adjudge. Nevertheless, really good skipping take down the leg side.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
And he's missed it by some distance. It's clipped the outside of the pad. Umpire Pashim Pathak got that one wrong by a good sort of 8 inches.
Air in his eyes, perhaps?
Well, maybe. He put his finger up immediately as the review went up from the appeal went up from Ravi Bishnoi and KL Rahul. Nevertheless, came off the pad, so it's not a wide. Good take from KL Rahul and a dot ball.
Again, he's got away with the wide, thanks to the wrong decision.
Well, no, it clipped the pad.
Oh, did it? Oh, yes, sorry.
That's what the noise was. So a dot ball. Seeing the man who's become a bit of a celebrity in cricket Twitter circles in recent years on screen now, reversing his decision. Out the front of the hand from M. Ashwin, and Duplessis turns it hurriedly off his pads down to short final leg. Good start to the over from M. Ashwin, just 3 runs off the first 4 balls of the over.
Well, they've got to do something pretty quickly, Kings 11. They've got to, at a minimum, get a couple of cheap overs in or find a wicket. Or they're just going to slow
As
out.
M. Ashwin comes in again, and Gaikwad comes down the track and whips this down to Chris Jordan at long on. They come through for 1. Gaikwad 19 off 20, despite a few boundaries. Faf Duplessis doing all the early hitting, 33 off 21. Can M. Ashwin get out of this over in similar fashion to how he's got into it? He's in last ball of that over. Seam up, I think, outside off stump, and Duplessis punches it down to long on. Good over from M. Ashwin, just 5 runs off it. Kings 11 need more than that, if they're more of that rather, if they're going to keep their playoff hopes alive. At the timeout, CSK after 7, 62 for none.
Wobble Seam, who I've now seen the beard and it is magnificent, said, "You folks check this out," and it's an article saying Ravi Shastri has revealed that Rohit Sharma's medical report stated he could be in danger of injuring himself again and advised the batsman not to rush his comeback. Leah says, "Are you saying that the Punjab should be every Gorillas team of choice, Nakul Pandey?" No, I don't. Did you? I don't think you said that.
Pun.
Ravi Nair says, "Now it seems unlikely that Kingsit will defend this. That is the lowest defended score this IPL. What is the lowest defended score this IPL?"
That's a very good question. I'll look that up for you in a second. By the way, Tony, it was Punjab.
I see. Punjab. I get it. How am I missing all these puns today?
Wikipedia
Bizarre.
confirms Connery played a football match against a local team that Matt Bosby was scouting. According to reports, Bosby was impressed and offered Connery a contract.
25,
Good Lord,
£25 a week.
Extraordinary.
£25 a week it was back then.
Yep.
Connery said no.
I know he was a Mr. Universe contestant, so we definitely can agree on that one, because that is something I definitely had heard. He's also responsible for one of the worst accents ever in a film.
The Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I know. I was thinking of Untouchables.
Oh right.
where he meanders around just about every nationality you could possibly think of, attempting, I think, a kind of a New York Irish accent.
This one I'm
Chicago
talking
Irish.
about is actually before he was James Bond, and he's trying to do an Irish accent in the whimsical film about leprechauns.
Good lord. Now, if you'd have told me he'd even done a film about leprechauns, I'm not sure I would have remembered it. Extraordinary. Ravi now. I'd said most of that, hadn't I? And Nestler's Sight Unseen, could you please have more fun with your background? Theme sitcoms. So, Nestler's, if you're listening, you're being invited to keep teasing and tantalising us with your different backgrounds. Jay Grover says, I love Knackle to bits, but I trust his Sean Connery sources about as far as I trust his opinions about Kobe Bryant's morality. Okay.
That's an old cheating reference from a few months ago. Well done. Sorry, go ahead.
Wobble Seam has sent us Sean, as in Sean's football career. He said he declined Busby's offer because he thought he was a bit too old to start a proper football career. So, okay, it's official. It wasn't a bloke down the pub who once met Knackle's granddad. It was actually some truth in it. Remarkable. I've learnt something today, which means it's been a good day.
Yes,
I always count a good day if I've learnt something I didn't know. It can't all have been a bad day.
It's very rare you come out of a day on Guerrilla Cricket not having learnt something.
Whether it's useful or something have you learnt, I don't know, but I will normally learn something. You're dead right.
Al gives us two more from Sean Connery's pantheon of accents. Him as Egyptian in Highlander, which if I remember he gives up after about 10 minutes, and as a Russian sub-captain in Hunt for Red October.
Oh yes, the Russian captain on Hunt. Great film though.
Ravi Bishnoi continues and starts with a beautiful googly outside off stump. Lovely drift and turn there, and beats Faf du Plessis on the inside edge, which is a point of vulnerability for Faf with that big wide backlift. It's a beautiful googly though, and beats the bottom edge through to KL Rahul. There is no run. By the way, I have the answer on the lowest defended total this season, which I'll give you after this ball from Ravi Bishnoi. Another googly outside off stump. He's grown into bowling these googlies more and more as the tournament has gone on. He's had more confidence to bowl them, I think, which has been good. It's fielded by two men in the offside ring, and there is no run. It was by Kings 11 Punjab, actually, against the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Defending, if I just find it 1 second, as Bishnoi's in, outside off stump. This one, the leg break, turning away. Gaikwad plays with the turn and just chips a single out to deep point, where M. Ashwin does the fielding. Lost it a second. 126 Kings 11 defended against the Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that awful game.
Full outside off stump from Bishnoi. Faf sweeps out to Jimmy Neesham at deep square leg. They come through 4-1. So Bishnoi settled down after being hit for 6 and 4 off the first 2 balls of his spell.
Give you an update on the cat. She's now settled down, listening to us, and is watching the parakeets out the window, who are feasting feasting on the various bird foods that are dangling out there.
Is this the wild parakeets that roam
Oh, what a catch! Very, very good catch from the man at backward point. It was out the front of the hand from Bishnoi. It was well wide of Gaikwad's off stump. He reached for it. Might have been a wide if he'd left it off the toe end. It goes to backward point, who dives forward and I think has taken that comfortably enough, a few inches off the ground. We will check this, but I'm pretty sure that this is out and that Ruturaj Gaikwad is gone for a I was going to say a KL Rahul-esque innings of 20 or 22. That might be a little bit harsh, but you understand what I'm driving at. The soft signal is out, by the way. Virendra Sharma has gone upstairs to third umpire Chris Gaffney, who's been called into action again. So there needs to be conclusive proof that this ball either did not carry or was dropped. Seeing this. Yes, that's a clean catch. I'm pretty happy with that. I think he's got his hand under the ball the whole way through.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I think that's out.
Yeah, good alertness from the man at backward point, leaning forward, gets his fingers under the ball. It almost squirms out of the bottom of the hands as he's diving forward, but I think he's just managed to get his hands under the ball as he falls forward. Might be one of those ones that we see far more times than is useful.
Well, the Kings 11 need that just to, and to be honest, we need it to breathe some life into the game.
Mandeep Singh is at backward point. Yes, it's going to be given out. Ruturaj Gaikwad's time with time. Oh no, it's been given not out. That has surprised me. That has surprised me.
It must be on the second one when his hands go forward after catching it, and his hands are kind of facing downwards.
Yeah, it must be that
at that point they feel it's hit the ground. And Kale Lahul isn't happy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's about the first point of contact. It's the fact that it squirms through the hands as he's diving forward, and they must think he's dropped it. Well.
It can touch the ground. Well, if it touches the ground while it's still grasped between your hands, that's not out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened. He hasn't let go of it, but it's touched the ground with his hands kind of facing down.
Looks as though, quote Cricinfo, the hand looks like the hands have split and the ball has hit the turf.
Exactly.
So Mandeep Singh doing himself out of a catch there, just not able to hold on and keep control of the ball. So it's not a wicket, it is a dot ball. Ruturaj Gaikwad is still 20 off 22, and this has still been a good over from Ravi Bishnoi.
Yeah, below that for Kings 11. You can see Anil Kumble not happy about it. But they've got to bounce back. It's happened now.
Yeah, I think actually, probably thinking about it, probably the right decision from Chris Gaffney.
It's a brave decision. You don't see many of them turned over now.
No, you don't. It's a googly outside off stump, and that's guided backward of Mandeep Singh by Ruturaj Gaikwad. Finds the placement that time and picks up a boundary to end Ravi Bishnoi's second over that promised much but delivered less. Yeah, lovely placement from Gaikwad. Just his second for his third boundary, and he's now up above a runner ball. He's 24 off 23, but with Faf du Plessis going well enough at the other end, Kings 36 off 25. CSK are in control of the game at this stage. They are 69 for no loss after 8 and need just 85 off the remaining 12 overs.
Mittal Siraj Chakraborty is going for CSK on Quick Tracker India. Wazim Balim, on the other hand, is going for Punjab. So split decisions there, definitely. Irish outsider says, to be fair, Delhi missing out is almost funny. Warren saying hi. That's over on Hot Mic. Which, remember, if you sign into Hot Mic, you can help the show provided you use the code. I'll hold that. As
M. Ashwin is in, bowls very full, and du Plessis works this down to Jordan at long on. Yes, if you go to download the Hot Mic app on iOS or Android and use the code GC Radio.
That's the one.
It doesn't cost you anything, but it gives us some money. And we've also got some little banners up there from our pals at Fanatics, who you can check out as well while you're watching us. It's all well and good. 84 needed off 71 balls, just over 7 and over. Ashwin bowls a tempting leg break on the off stump. It just dips on Gaikwad, and he's forced to defend back to the bowler. That is no runs. Been a good 8-ball spell thus far from M. Ashwin, just the 6 runs off it. Yeah, it's impossible to tell whether that catch was taken or not in real time, but the slow-mo replay did seem to show the ball bursting through the hands, even though we were initially surprised that it was given not out. The next ball is worked down to Jordan for a single.
Clearly. Once you look at it with hindsight, catches it fine, and he goes further forwards, and his hands drop the ball down to the ground.
The hands sort of turn inwards towards, the palms turn inwards towards each other as he's desperately trying to keep the ball up, but he was unable to. Ashwin bowls outside off stump, big appeal, and Pashim Pathak is unmoved as du Plessis has a little fiddle outside off stump and is beaten on the outside edge. There is no run. Lots of shots of various members of the Kings 11 playing and coaching and ownership staff looking incredulous as they...
well, at least Priti Zinta isn't on the pitch yet.
No, indeed, it's a long way down, to be fair.
It's probably why they put her up there.
As M. Ashwin is in, continuing this impressive spell outside off stump, and du Plessis jabbily pushes back to the bowler. There is no run. The leg spinners are bowling well, but CSK have to be a little bit careful they don't get completely stuck.
They are bowling well, and it's probably the best they can do at the moment, just to keep these guys on, try to make something happen.
Last ball of this second over from M. Ashwin. Faf goes down into the sweep very early, to be fair. I think he recognised that the ball was going to be outside off stump, but can only pick up a single. And M. Ashwin's gone for just 8 of his first 2 overs, 4 singles in each. Very good, but CSK makes serene enough progress to 72 for no loss after 9 overs.
Wobble Seam. Linea says Ramios isn't Russian, he's Georgian. Just so you know. Wobble Seam says classic leggy dip and flight there. Well bowled Bishnoi. Jay Grover says I'm not sure I can think of any accent by Sean Connery apart from the incredibly bad Sean Connery, which we can all do. Has anyone ever done a good Sean Connery impression? Blimey, I thought, wow, what a catch. Was Suki eating a parakeet?
Yeah, I was going to say,
too old to catch them these days.
There are flocks of wild parakeets certainly roaming around North London
and South London too.
6 at the moment on my bird feeders. The urban myth was that they were originally a mating pair that had escaped from Jimi Hendrix. It's nonsense.
Oh, really?
For some reason it became
the other myth that I'd heard is that they'd escaped from London Zoo.
I think that is more likely. What's up with Chris Gaffney, says Wobble Seam. And is he wearing mask wearing anarchist?
Gaffney was the TV umpire. He's the one who gave this.
Yeah, I think he's seen the footage and made probably a correct call, even though we were a little bit surprised at the time. So fair play to Chris Gaffney. Anyway, this man's coming back into the attack for the 10th over.
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry. More England caps will soon draw.
Went for 11 off his first over. He's in bowl straight at Faf du Plessis, who works off middle to Nisham at deep square leg. They come through for a single. Faf du Plessis moves to 40 off 30. Gaekwad's got to pick up the pace a little bit just to avoid putting pressure on both himself and Faf. Seeing this catch that wasn't a catch time and time again. Of course, they're talking about it in the box.
If animals were to escape from London to breed and infest all of London, we're probably quite lucky it was only parakeets.
Yeah, they're very sweet actually. They do tend to bully other birds a bit though. Probably because they tend to gang together.
Weight of numbers behind them, yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Jordan goes full. Faf du Plessis goes up over the offside. There is no one at deep cover, so even though Faf got it slightly low on the bat, it comfortably beats the fielder, and Faf du Plessis picks himself up 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, the body language from Kings 11 at the moment, they can see their season slipping away.
Yeah, well, we're saying they have not fared well at all at Abu Dhabi. Played 3, lost 3. Today could be played 4, lost 4.
Yeah, both of these teams have played most of their games in Dubai. In comes Jordan, slower, shorter ball, tight to off stump. Faf du Plessis swats this into the leg side. He might have found the gap. He certainly found the gap well enough to come through for 2 between deep square leg and long leg. It's Nisham at deep square leg who does the fielding. 2 runs ensue. Their season slipping away through Mandeep Singh's hands.
Well, I wouldn't blame it all on that.
No, but it's one of those sort of microcosms of the season, or those
a little thing that's happened. Yes, and we're seeing it again and again. I'm sure we're still going on about it. To be fair, I'm sure the TV comms are having a field day with that one.
Club cricket, with no reviews, you'd have just given that and off. We'd have all carried on, wouldn't we?
It'd still be a massive argument.
Cut her into the pitch from Jordan and turned into the leg side with 3 men back on the leg side. It's going to be a very easy 2 runs for Faf and Ruturaj Gaekwad, who are pretty quick between the wickets. So 2-4-2-2 off the first 4 balls of the over. To be fair, I have no doubt that Mandeep Singh thought he'd caught it.
Oh sure, I mean that can happen.
Dizzy Mark wearing anarchist mentions, talking about bad accents, says Peter Firth deserves commendation in this area too. Linux Leah replies saying, as does Stellan Skarsgård is as Captain Tupolev.
Oh my word, what has Faf done? That would have been a wide if he'd left it. from Chris Jordan. It was a slower ball that apologetically dribbled down the leg side. Faf du Plessis tried to go down on one knee and lap paddle sweep up over short fine leg, but there was so little pace that it just went straight up in the air. KL Rahul had an age to get under it and did so comfortably. And Faf du Plessis, after punishing Chris Jordan in the early part of the over, has slightly given it away, but he's given his team a good start. Has the veteran South African. He's gone for 48 off 34, and Kings 11 Punjab are 82 for 1. And just to take the piss, KL Rahul has appealed.
They should get that'll lose some fair play points. But du Plessis there, that's generally a premeditated shot, and you can actually see him on the replay. Sorry, is the jingle going?
Yeah, it's okay. Go.
Sorry, I couldn't hear it. Yeah, du Plessis has gone to play the shot as a premeditated shot, and you can see him thinking, oh, it's not here yet, and he just has to reach out, and that's why there's no pace on the ball. So it's lobbed straight up in the air, and yes, KL Rahul being a bit of a dick there, really.
Yeah, that's the sort of...
Sorry, go on.
I mean, that's the... I've heard stories of, a bowler being denied LBW appeals repeatedly and then bowling someone middle stump and saying, is that out?
Sure,
to
that's
the umpire.
another classic third, fourth team trope.
I've heard of it in test and first class cricket.
It's
It's the sort of thing that looks funny when written down, but is a bit of a dick move.
Well, especially when the decision's probably fine.
Yeah, indeed. I can understand why they're annoyed, but you just got to calm down a little bit and sort of get out of your own heads.
You've got to let these things go as well, and especially coming from the captain. You've got to set an example with your body language. Something I can think of one particular game. I was captain and I had to get the team together all in the middle and say, look, just shut up about what's happened. Fine, the other team didn't give some decisions. Stop focusing on that and get back on the game.
Yeah, KL Rahul, not a particularly experienced captain. I think it's his first full season captaining, and it's all got a little bit emotional for Kings 11. Not helped, I don't think, by seeing Anil Kumble losing his rag on the.
Again, he's the coach. Comes from the top.
Well, indeed, yeah, and you'd think of someone of his experience and Nous would be able to let these things go, but the competitive instinct runs deep. Gaikwad and Raudu push a very quick 2. Was that 6? 8 plus 4, 12 runs off the over, plus the wicket for Chris Jordan. He's been reasonably expensive, but he's picked up the wicket of Faf du Plessis. Halfway through the Kings 11 chase, they are 84 for 1. They need 70 off the last 10 to put Kings 11 out of the tournament, and we'll have a little shuffle around it here at Guerrilla Cricket. Tony will take over ball by ball, Al will be summarising, and Nestlers will take over tweets.
Oh, well, indeed, and I can tell you, Nestlers, the last tweet I read was Leah rather scathing review of Stellan Skarsgård's accent.
Okay.
So you can pick it up from there. 84 for 1. Perhaps just a little dent in the progress for CSK as they seem to be cruising towards another party poop.
Changing the bowler, I think.
We do. It's going to be Mohammed Shami. He's over the wicket. And Raudu rather leading edges that away into the offside. There'll be no run and we'll jingle up the bowler.
He's coming down fast and moving it too. Tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured. Look out, Mohammed Shami. Mohammed Shami. Mohammed Shami.
Still ahead of the rate, of course, as this one is short and over the shoulder of Raudu. I suspect that might be a 1 for the over warning.
I think so.
Rather than a wide on that occasion. 126 strike rate for Ambati Raudu. 159 matches, 3,269 runs in his IPL career. Got his. We'll have a look at that field. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the offside. Third man, 3 in the ring, and a deep cover on the leg side. 4 with a deep mid wicket, 1 in the ring, and then a long leg and a deep mid wicket. 84 for 1 are the Chennai Super Kings. The sun beating down on Abu Dhabi, not surprisingly. And Shami is rolling in and is pulled, but not convincingly. It dribbles away to one of those onside fielders, and it will be a single. So yeah, they need to both stem the run flow and take wickets. I think do the Kings 11.
I was curious about the fact that they'd taken the spinners off. I thought that the spinners had done a reasonable job in stemming the run flow.
Yeah, no, they had. You're absolutely right. I'm trying to think what the logic for that might be. None for 18 from Mohammed Shami.
Got a plan, stick to the plan.
Yeah, last 27 balls have netted, though, 28 runs and a wicket, so they've been going just a shade over a run a ball. Required rate 7.26, the current going rate 8.09, so they're ahead of it still. As Shami's in, that one is steered away through point. There is a man down there, though, it's Jimmy Neesham, and it will just be a single.
Shall we jingle up Raidu?
I think we should.
Yeah, that's coming to back. Got plenty to say. Yeah. Though he's just a little lad, he'll blow you away. Yeah. Oh, he's Ambati Rayudu. He's Ambati
Shami's in, and that one's rather edgily gone backward a point. It might travel the distance. There's a man on the boundary. It's Jimmy Neesham again, who dives and did well, actually. Did very well. Is that Neesham?
I think it is Neesham. That was some edge, wasn't it?
It was some edge. It was uppish. It went backward a point. And Neesham, who is it my imagination, or is he just acquired an element of portliness during his bubble life?
Your imagination.
It might be my imagination. I just had a look at him there and I thought, oh, he looks a little on the tubby side, and that's what made me question whether it was actually him. So I remember him being sort of fairly, not lean, always quite solid, but certainly not carrying additional weight. Anyway, this one is steered much more deliberately, but the man at short fine leg does the job, diving to his right, gets a tap of appreciation. Because he did that rather nicely. End of that over. None for 22 for Shami. 189 for 1 are the Super Kings, chasing, of course, 153 for 6. Still in the box seat, and you feel wickets are what is needed by the Kings 11. Nestlers.
Jen Rowe. Hiya, folks. I woke up to the news that it's No Nut November. Fucking weird is what that is, and I thought the same. I saw that. How are you? We're all right.
What is No Nut November? What does that actually mean? You're not allowed to eat nuts?
I don't know. Jay Grover says Central Sheffield has no avian life. We are a prison hulk. No avian life at all. Bat has done a mispa, says Wobble C. Rahul appealed directly to Gaffney. So he says. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. I'll break off.
I've just found out what No Nut November actually is, as this one is a wide. So perhaps we'll move on very swiftly from that discussion.
I have no idea what it is. I saw it.
I think it's a display of abstinence of some description.
It is a display of abstinence from self-pleasuring, I believe. As this one is an inside edge by Rayudu, but is away into the onside. He will get a single.
Who dreamt that up?
I don't know. I mean, what else can you turn into a charity at the moment?
Oh, it's a charity.
Well,
not charity, but
it's not even in charity. But to do that in the month of lockdown would be.
I mean, can you imagine putting that forward as being the thing you want to do to raise money? It'd be quite an interesting idea, I suppose. This one swept by Gaikwad backward of the square leg umpire, fielded down there, and will just be another single, number 20 from Ravi Bishnoi. 2 singles and that wide so far from this over. 92 for 1 for the Chennai Super Kings, 29 for Gaikwad.
Got a question for you, Tony. Which I'll give you in this.
Bishnoi is in, waited for by Rayudu, and cut superbly through point, and cut for 4.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
Yes.
So Faf gives his wicket away because he tries a bit of imagination and ingenuity and ends up going wrong. The most angry I can ever remember seeing someone try to do something unorthodox and give their wicket away is Mike Gatting in the 1987 World Cup semi-final against Australia, where he reverses sweeps to the keeper.
Yes, as in comes Bishnoi. This one's pulled down to deep square leg, and it'll just be another single for Rayudu. He will move on to 10, and CSK will move on to 97 for 1. 57 then needed off 50. So what is the question now?
Can you remember a time where you've been more annoyed by watching a cricketer to turning around and like trying something unorthodox, and when maybe orthodoxy would have been the way forward? And
well, KP, I'll just hold that thought as Bishnoi is around the wicket, and this one's clipped to mid wicket and a single taken. KP used to quite often play shots that would anger you and say, why did he do that? Because he would constantly justify it by being, because I am who I am, and that's the way I play my cricket. But I can't remember a single occasion, but I remember many, collectively, I remember he was a player who would annoy you by sometimes playing shots you just didn't want him to play. As onto the back foot goes Rayudu, turns this nicely to square leg, another single. 99 now the total for the loss of the 1 wicket.
To be fair to KP, most of the time you sort of think, fucking hell, how did he do that?
Well, precisely, and as you think back on it, his career, without remembering any one shot or innings, I just remember occasions when he would frustrate you by playing a shot you just thought, why did he do that? Because of the nature of player he was, and that was always his defence for doing it.
Gower, though, I mean, he was frustrating at times.
Gower had that languidity about him, didn't he? Where
wafting round off stump.
Yes, a bit, dare I say it, Vince-like, although clearly a greater body of work and volume of runs to defend in the Test arena for David Gower, but that propensity to just nick off occasionally with a rather languid-looking stroke outside off could frustrate in the case of Gower, but I don't think it was through playing daft strokes or odd strokes with Gower. It was often loose wafts that seemed to account for him. M. Ashwin in again, and this one is pushed away into the offside.
I think Knuckle wants to go.
No run. Knuckle's going to take off again.
Jingle.
So we better let him do it.
That's when I call the working Ashwin.
And that one, nearly gets an inside edge from Rayudu. Hurried that one through. Rayudu had a swing and a miss. We'll have another look to see just how close to an inside edge that was. It was pretty close. He could have so easily got an under edge there. Very well bowled indeed from Ashwin. The googly. This one's pulled by Rayudu. It's out to deep mid wicket. Chris Jordan does the fielding, and they look for 2.
That would have been interesting if they'd have gone for 2.
And it could well have been a yes-no after you clawed disaster. It wasn't. And common sense, fortunately enough for the Super Kings, prevailed. They took the 1 quickly enough, didn't they?
Yeah, thankfully the CSK batsman who was at the end that Jordan threw back to didn't move at all. Otherwise that would have been disastrous.
Schwinn going to be in again. 4th ball of his 3rd over. This one is steered nicely through cover because Jimmy Neesham is riding that deep cover boundary. So again, it will just be a single. 2 dot balls, 2 singles, 1 ball, which really did beat the batsman all ends up. Could so easily have claimed a wicket, and you do feel wickets are needed now. Going at nearly 8. Run rate a shade over 7, so the equation is slightly closed, but still in the favour of CSK. This one's steered to mid-off. Again, it's an easy single.
It's fascinating to consider just how much Hoodoo did at the tail end of the Punjab innings, because Punjab only reached the 100 mark in the 16th over, I think. So to that end, you look at it and you go, well, you're 4 overs ahead of schedule. But such a distinct spike in scoring.
Here comes Ashwin again. Down the track comes Gaikwad, but really just guides it to mid-off. It's another easy single. It is the end of the over. We might normally bring you some tweets, but our social media operative has had to desert his station temporarily. So Al, I'm going to ask you, where do you see this going as we stand now?
I think if Punjab don't take a wicket in the next couple of overs, I think CSK really should see this off pretty comfortably. I know that it's 7 and over, but at this particular moment in time, 7 and over doesn't necessarily seem to be too difficult. The spinners have been difficult to hit. Ashwin's gone for 11 off 3 overs.
We've seen sides choke from strange positions before, though, in this IPL, haven't we? And the one thing you can say is the equation is closing slightly.
But I think Punjab would want this to be an awful lot more uncomfortable than it really is, and I think that's kind of where you've got to see it from, is that this should be comfortable. And if you think with the fall of the next wicket, Dhoni's going to come in as well, then they certainly hold more aces than Punjab.
They do. Nestle has returned just in time to not read your social media messages, because we're into. Well, we thought we were into Jimmy Neesham's over. Jimmy Neesham thought he was into Jimmy Neesham's over, but something stopped him, and he turned around. He's going to have to start again. We'll jingle him anyway.
Whoops! All look, here comes another slow ball.
That's
Jimmy.
It's 2 there.
Punched for 2 to mid-wicket, short mid-wicket, but they run smartly, and there's overthrows, and they've turned it into 3. Well, hang your head, Kings 11, because with the odds against you, that's really not what you want to be doing, Al, is it?
That ball did not get out of the 30-metre circle, and they've taken it for 3.
Chris Jordan, I have to say, Chris Jordan was at one end was a bit unlucky in that the batsman had put the bat down and it sort of bounced over the bat, so his view would have been it's poor run actually. But
I don't think there was too much effort by whoever was covering for Neesham, because Neesham has set off because there was no one in that sort of mid-wicket square leg area, and there is now, obviously, locking the stable door after the horse has bolted.
Very much so. In comes Neesham again from that north end, and Rayudu, bit squared up, rather stabs that away into the offside. This time there isn't a run. That required rate is 7.2. They're still going at closer to 8. So it's not really spectacular stuff at the moment, is it? You feel it's a measured, controlled, do what you need to do style chase, rather than let's get there quickly type chase.
I think what's fascinating is that I'm interested about who the other voices are apart from Rahul, who's trying to be able to keep his team going at this point.
Yeah. Neesham in. That one is, Raidu looked to just dab it away to third man, didn't really lay bat on it, and through to KL Rahul it went. Now you'd like to think MS Dhoni's thinking would be, now the Gorillas are doing back-to-back games today, so let's get this over with quickly and give them a bit more of a break between the games. Sadly, I suspect that's not really in his head.
There is one thing that, if all things go our way, I'm wondering whether we'll see something for the 3rd time inside. This
Here comes Neesham, punched down the track by Rayudu. They will take just a single, went pretty straight. Mid-off was able to come round and limit that to a single.
Is it true?
They're running a little competition there. Look, sorry to cut across you there. Is this the most exciting conclusion to an IPL ever? Yes or no? There you go. What do we think as an answer to that? This game, I don't think is particularly exciting right now, but the closeness of the teams, the bunching of the teams, and the permutations that brings into play, I think, certainly is interesting.
I will ask you a question after this ball.
This one's pulled down to deep square leg. I would hope they've taken 2. Yes, they will have done. So it keeps that run rate ticking along nicely enough for the Super Kings. What was the question now?
So in the NFL, they have a draft every year, and the worst team picks the best gets the first pick of all the available players, and the aim is to be able to try and really kind of ensure parity between the teams. Now, do you think that a competition like this is hurt by the loss of by there being no super team?
As this is steered backward a point, it is going to go the distance.
Wow.
That's
Well
very
timed.
tidy and very handy for the Super Kings.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Does parity between 8 teams hurt the quality of the competition, rather than there be one absolutely dominant, all-conquering side?
No, I don't think so. I mean, think of Scottish football for years, Celtic Rangers. I remember, who was it? The Saturday morning TV programme always used to show the Scottish Premier Division without mentioning Celtic and Rangers. Nobody started looking at it from third downwards because it became so boring. Formula One for years. I know Nestlers is a big Formula One fan, but there was 3 or 4 seasons I can recall when it was simply just a procession because somebody was always winning. If you have a runaway winner that's almost nailed on very early in a season of any sport, good luck to that team. And of course, it's their job to win. Don't criticise them, but it doesn't necessarily make for the most exciting conclusions, does it? So I think on balance, the more even it is from a spectator perspective, the better it is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I'll let Nestle read some tweets.
Nestle's.
Yeah. I'm well behind here.
Well, you did desert your post at one point.
I know. I do believe that it's pretty well impossible for anyone to mention David Gower without the words languid popping up very soon thereafter.
It's true.
Wobblestein says Pack Cricket and Maverick / unpredictable. One with the overthrows, Paxton, he says as well. Josie Oak says, who's nipped off from tweets? Obviously not joining in No Nut November.
Well, you know what? I nearly did mention something like that. I thought, no, that might be a bit too far, but someone's done it for me.
Steady boy, steady.
Jay Grover wants to live in a tree village. Will this ever happen? Yes or no?
Yes.
No. A tree village?
Prove
Is that a
me
village
right.
made of trees?
Leia tells us it's No Nut November is definitely no charity, more of an internet man-children cult. Do not search for no fat or semen retention on Reddit. You have been warned.
Well, I won't. Yeah,
Not on my work's computer, anyway.
My youngest, who lives here.
I ever go on Reddit ever? Ever? Have I ever gone on Reddit?
Well, that's a rhetorical question, presumably, because we can't tell you that. Yeah, well, my youngest was behind me when I was even discussing that, and he was going, "Dad, it's nothing to do with a charity. Dad, do you know what it really is?" In the background, I went, "Okay,
Dad."
So now I've found out.
Yeah. What a great, wholesome conversation to have.
Yes. Very much so. Very much so. Anyway, let's get back to the cricket. 113 for 1 are the Chennai Super Kings. We're about to start the 15th over. And the Super Kings, you feel, are going to be pretty much in the box seat at the moment. Murugan Athwin is the man who's going to try and do something about that. 41 needed off 36 balls with 9 wickets in hand should be the proverbial walk in the park. But you just never know sometimes, do you?
No.
Rayudu to face. Ashwin in. Short. Cut to point. Fumbled by the man there, but it will just net them a single. So they're not. They are playing it in a very controlled manner. The temptation is there, one would think, in a game that literally means nothing for you, i.e. the Super Kings, to crack on and just hit and get there with exciting, entertaining power strokes. But they're not bothered by that. They're just playing this as though this game, their lives depended on it. As this one's flicked by Gaikwad and away to mid-wicket. Again, it'll be just a single. 39 off 34, 115 for 1.
It's all over this, isn't it?
Well, that's what we were saying, Nestlers, as you popped away for a wee while there. That
a wee while.
a wee while. This one's steered again 2 points by Rahidu. No run on this occasion. Tossed up that little bit more, given a bit more flight and air by Ashwin. So that's his first dot ball of the over. Only 2 singles off the first 2. It's his final over of the day. Down the track though comes Rahidu. He's hit this straight. There will be a man down there. There is. It's Chris Jordan. It's 2 more.
He is quite the fielder down there.
The 1s and the 2s. 4 off this over so far. Just a shade short of 7, the required rate. They are going at nearer 8. So you do feel wickets is 2 or 3 wickets in a cluster.
Yeah.
Are going to create a little bit of a king's tremble. But then, do they need to tremble? I mean, if there's nothing to play for, why would they need to tremble? Oof. That one is edged and sort of bounced in and out, I think, of the gloves of KL Rahul. And to be honest, it was one of those instinctive catches. Yeah, it was certainly a half chance as a wicket keeper, but we're going to have another look. It was a leg break turn.
Yeah,
massively.
It's definitely it's been a top edge to a cut shot that's hit Rahul in the top part of the glove, just above the thumb. But
he'll be disappointed.
But disappointed.
That one's flicked away to deep backward square. Be just another single. It concludes 15 overs. I think it concludes me for this match, but I shall stay out watching. And to take you home is who's taking us home, Nestle? Knuckle? It's you, isn't it? I would imagine.
It's Andy Ward.
So enjoy.
It's Andy Ward on board. I've all myself summarising and Nestle's reading tweets. This has been disappointing from Kings 11. Not losing. I mean, this has been a very even tournament. There's not a lot to pick, particularly between any of the teams. Mumbai being the exception, but there's Kings 11's challenge in a must-win game has just sort of whimpered away to nothing.
Yeah, ever since they lost that first wicket, and Gale and then Pooran were just in a waiting mode. That they're waiting for the train that never came, and since then it has just fizzled away. Here comes Bishnoi, see if he can do anything about it. Drops down by Rayudu's backward point, and it's an easy single.
Look, Deepak Huda raged effectively against the dying of the light, but I meant
he did.
I meant more in the field, to be honest. I mean, it's very easy to hang this all on one incident, and the reaction or the overreaction to the Mandeep catch then drop. But it's been a curiously unsparky performance from Kings 11.
Yes, Gaikwad's been very solid all the way through, and he comes down the track, plays a nice shot over extra cover for 4.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Just going back to that one KL Rahul's dropped a moment ago, I actually think he should be disappointed from that. It's a bit of a wicket-keeping technical thing, but he's put his hands kind of sideways, where if they would still been upright, he might have caught it in the upper part of his hands. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, as he's rising with the ball.
Yeah, his hands have gone sideways, so it's flipped off his thumb. Gaikwad plays that down the offside, pick up an easy single.
Yeah, he sort of got himself into a position where actually there could have been a stumping chance as well. To be fair, as Rowdy was quite a long way out of his crease, he's got himself into a position where the balls hit his hands before he can move them.
Excuse me. Yes. Just going back to CSK after his ball. Vishnoi's in. Goodley played into the leg side for an easy single. Maybe 2, no, just the 1. I don't know if anybody's sitting there thinking, just a minute, if we win this game by X balls, we won't finish bottom. Shouldn't that be a motivator?
Possibly. I mean, it is certainly possible that Kings 11 could finish bottom on net run rate.
From CSK's point of view.
Oh,
I
see.
Get this chased quickly enough, they won't finish bottom. But
I think it is a distinct possibility.
But they don't seem to be trying to do it, even with 9 wickets in hand.
No, I don't know if that has actually been worked out. I don't know if you can work it out at this stage. There's too many games left.
You can. No, there isn't. It's just straight against Kings 11. That one's over extra cover again. 1 bounce of 4. The Gaikwad seems to be getting on with it. He's at 50.
My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Yeah, tidy debut season of sorts for Ruturaj Gaikwad.
Slow start.
350s in the tournament.
50 runs, your 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job is on you. Just
Big googly onto the pads, and that's clipped down to deep square, and that'll be an easy single. CSK 130 for 1. They need 24 off 24.
So, tweets. Wobble Seam pointing out that Movember is Moustache's fundraising for prostate testicular cancer and MH issues. That is very true. Facebook, what have we got? Ooh. Pirambu Binj Rajput says CSK is my team, is best. And AJ Nagamani says CSK win okay. So, crikey, Nishish Kumar just CSK about 10 messages there.
Underlining the point, well, they'll always have their fans.
Yeah.
Showing a bit of faith in them, at least while they're winning today.
Well, they've got Dhoni in the team. I guess he attracts quite a lot of fans.
Absolutely. I mean, there's always this strange thing in the IPL where you get a lot of people sort of in the home section actually supporting the away team just because of one player.
Yeah, MS Dhoni in particular. There was a game last year between Mumbai and CSK in Mumbai where there was a footage of a fan who, after MS Dhoni got out, took off his CSK Dhoni jersey to reveal a Mumbai jersey underneath it.
Yes, different culture.
And there were some people, Cricinfo interviewing some people at that game who'd come from Assam, way in the northeast of India, to Mumbai to watch a game, to watch Chennai. That's a several thousand-mile journey.
Wow. Yes, it's just a shame people can't do that this season. But at least it is entertaining people who are stuck at home on our TV screens.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just watching Jos Verstappen kick, or Max Verstappen rather, kicking his car. I won't say anymore.
Would like Dick Dastardly.
You kind of kick, yeah. He's boiled again.
He's got a little dog. It's Muttley.
Catch the leader. This man's coming back into the attack.
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry. More England caps will soon draw nigh. Or if they don't, then it will seem he'll wish he'd joined the Windies team.
Well, can he have a last hurrah in this game? It's attempted. Yorker turns into a full toss. Gaikwad punches it, option one off. They'll get an easy single. Do you think Gaikwad might get a message from the bench? Well done, son. You got 50, but MS wants to finish this one off, so on your bike.
I mean, the really ruthless thing, I suppose, at this point would be to send him Sam Curran and tell him to just smack the ball to all parts.
Absolutely no chance in hell anyone but MS Dhoni comes in if they lose a wicket.
I don't know. I wonder if he's getting a little bit Darren Sammy, sort of the non-playing captain.
No, he wants to score those winning runs. Well, I could be wrong, but I'd certainly bet against it.
To be honest,
these two batsmen will hope it doesn't come into.
I was going to say I'm not sure it's actually going to matter.
No. Ryder, who hasn't had to do much, 20 off 23, that's fine in the circumstances, and he just lops that one into the offside. The fielder escorts it 2/3 of the way to the boundary before he actually picks it up, a bit like myself.
I guess what I'm disappointed at as the 50 partnership comes up is the lack of apparent desperation from Kings 11. There's not been any urgency.
It's all, and I think it all comes. It's a lot of talking about body language. It all comes from the captain, comes from the coach when they're waving their arms around about decisions they think have gone against them instead of rallying their team. That does transmit. Everybody thinks, oh, everyone's against us. We're just not going to win. And I've seen it time and again at lower level cricket. And we're all humans. We all think the same way. Gaikwad is in. Full ball played into the leg side. There will be no run.
Psychology is infectious in a team, good or bad.
Absolutely, especially from the captain, from the top down.
Kings 11 have played with real verve and spark in the latter part of the tournament with Gale and Pooran and even Maxwell's energy in the field.
Yeah, and his bowling and was almost the same for them. They must have felt they were almost out of the tournament. They could just go out and play maybe. Jordan's full again, punched up towards long on by a guy could be an easy single. I don't know if CSK have done the sums or not, but there seems to be no intention to finish this early.
No, they're making Kings 11 suffer.
Just drawing it out. 21 needed off 20 would be quite funny if they cocked this up somehow.
5 minutes till
happened.
5 minutes till the toss in the KKR Rajasthan game.
Now that's a big game, and both teams got it all on the line there.
And both teams will be very happy that CSK appear to be winning this one quickly and easily.
Raidu steps away, bashes it over cover, and the sweeper's not going to get there. That's going to pick up 4.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
You know, we're saying that CSK haven't really got on with it, but this is the sort of game you could win with an over and a half left without really trying to.
Well, from the position they were in, as I say, I haven't seen anything much wrong with the track all day, and I'm sure Kings 11 were 20 under par at least.
Yeah, I think so. Chris Gale setting himself and then accelerating later. God knows he's got enough of a body of evidence to tell us that it works, but it didn't today. Well,
60% of the time it works all the time. Raidu is up to mid-off, sorry. Pooran's in with the throw, but he's home for the single.
Look, if anyone's earned the right in T20 cricket to bat how they want to bat, it's Chris Gale.
Yeah, I would say so.
And Nicholas Pooran, I don't know how much you can read into a 6-ball innings, really. But once those two got out, with those two struggling for fluency, there just didn't seem to be any sort of plan in the middle overs, and then it took a sort of Deepak Huda playing above himself to get them up even to this total.
Yes, it did.
Well, Wobble Seam tells us that CSK have got the most passionate fans. In the seasons there weren't any games at Chennai, CSK got trains to ferry fans to Pune, their adopted home stadium.
Well, I hope they gave them trains back, unlike the Trump rallies. See what they do. They say, we'll have buses later, and the buses just don't show up, and these people are stuck in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It's
happened at least twice.
I saw a comedian make a fun sort of satirical video about it. This man's coming back on to try and do something.
Last throw of the dice.
He's coming down fast and moving it too. Tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured. Look out, Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami.
And Ambati Raidu's gone down with cramp.
Looks like it. A little bit of a delay somewhere. Just looking at those bowling figures, I thought Bishnoi bowled quite well, but got figures of 4 overs, none for 39. So
yeah, he went for a few boundaries. In between the boundaries, he was very good. But
yeah, it seemed that way.
M. Ashwin, I thought, was excellent today.
Yes, I was just going to say, M. Ashwin is the only bowler who's really put a break on it. 4 overs for 17, but couldn't do it all on his own.
Jay Grover says, "Please stop. I've made a vow." He also tells me to punch through it.
looks like
Jagdishan there with his pads on. I think he's very hopeful.
I suppose he might as well put the pads on and hope.
Might as well put them on, hope for the best. Yeah. It'll be the last action certainly these CSK players get in the banana yellow shirts for at least 6 months, depending on when the next LPA happens, and probably the last for Kings 11 too. Unless something remarkable happens in these last 3 overs.
It must be pretty remarkable, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
there's no indication that they're putting the field in or anything. They're just letting this play out. I'd have put an extra fielder up. Just pick up an easy single like that down to square leg. Well, I say that, but Raidu was rather jogging it, perhaps in response to that cramp, and the fielder hurried him up a bit.
Yeah, he does have a bit of a history of sort of lower leg muscular injuries, Ambati Raidu.
He's not the most athletic physique. I mean, that's fine. but just saying.
No, he's not. Well, he's a pretty athletic fielder, Ambati Raidu. He's quite, he's pretty good in that backward point region. But I think, although we did see him at mid-on today, so maybe he was carrying something coming into the game.
Well, I did read that he failed a bleep test for India at one point.
He did, and didn't make a tour. That's right.
Yeah, which is a bit of an oversight. Gaikwod's back on strike, 54 of 42, another impressive display from him. And he's pulled that, and it's just gone over KL Rahul's outstretched hand. Maybe bat, maybe shoulder, maybe helmet. I'm not sure. It's 4 anyway.
It's Nissan Shi.
Leg
It's
bias.
Nissan Shi.
Maybe the shoulder.
Yeah, maybe. A good quick bouncer from Mohammad Shami. He does bowl a good skiddy bouncer off the helmet.
Top of the head. Just a glancing blow off the top of the head there.
News from Dubai, by the way, the Rajasthan Royals have won the toss and have elected to field.
Yep, not a bad plan, especially if run rate might come into things. We'd like to bat second.
Yeah, those two, the winner of that, it's win and keep yourself alive, but kind of hoping for other results to go your
We're
way.
still hoping for the best in the next couple of days. We've got Delhi against RCB tomorrow. Shami is back in. Pulled away, lovely shot by Gaikwad. One bounce over mid-wicket before.
So it looks as though we will have a little bit of a break between games, maybe 10 minutes or so.
And guess who's playing in the last game? Mumbai Indians. Funny how that often happens.
Yeah, we'll be on air for that game, the Mumbai Hyderabad game on Tuesday, which basically is Sunrisers needing to win and Mumbai basically having a party.
Well, that we'll get confirmation on that on the day because all the games will be finished conveniently for Mumbai, as usual.
Well, yes. I mean, Mumbai usually actually tend to end up needing a massive scramble towards the end.
Yeah, because they've lost their first 5 games and somehow make the playoffs. Oh, is that an edge? No, just a flash from Gaikwad. Shami still wanting something to say about this. Playing a miss.
Rajasthan, by the way, are unchanged from their from the team that played their last game. Give you the full. Well, we'll post the full teams on Twitter and then we'll run through them on air when we come back on for the second game.
Yeah, you guys certainly deserve a break. Gaikwad facing up, 147 for 1. Wide, slower ball. Gaikwad chops it past point. Might get 4 for this. No, fielder's rounding the deep on his knees, and will pick up an easy 2. Gaikwad's 350s have all been in successful chases, I think.
Yeah, as I say, CSK have been pretty good this year in sort of middling chases. They've won by 10 wickets once against this opposition. They've had a couple of, looks like they're on for another 9-wicket win. It's the middle order that's been the well, I mean, the top order was not firing at all in the early part of the tournament, and then the middle order hasn't fired at all.
We had a couple of absolute shockers in the middle of the tournament. That one they posted 125 for 5. Shami is in, played out to cover. I think that's Chris Gale who does manage to get down to it, just.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's quite as bad as KKR 84 for 8 in 20 overs.
No.
I don't know how that's even possible.
Well, I was commentating that one. Was I? Yes, I was excoriating it. And I think I'd rather have my point proved for once in the end.
Wobble scene says Chennai Super Party Pooper mission accomplished.
Yep, they've pooped a few parties in the last few games.
Astonishing stat from Leia. Trump rallies have been linked to 30,000 cases of COVID-19,
Yes,
including
deaths.
700 deaths.
Hard to put a number on that, but that was a study that did seem to go into a lot of mathematical detail.
Blimey. Well, his son was on TV the other day saying COVID's over.
Well, he's out of his nut on coke if you're talking about Don Jr.
Merry Christmas, COVID's over.
Yeah.
We've heard that here as well. Anyway, CSK need 5 more runs to win. Rayadu is on strike. Chris Gale's going to bowl now. Now you've given up.
Well, I mean, he's not the worst, to be honest.
No, but it's a bit. Go on then. Let's get.
Yes, a little bit. I'm just, at least KL Rahul's not taking off the pads.
Yeah, that would have been truly village. Well, we hope it isn't.
If you knew Chris Gale like I know Chris
Chris Gale.
You know he's a pretty shit human being.
That's all right. Gale is in. Floaty off spinner. Played up to long on. I'm sure they'll take an equally floaty single.
Chris Gale sometimes bowls in his hat. He's not doing that today.
Nope. Gale and the umpire, they get tangled up in each other's hair if they get too close.
Yep, Chris Gale with the dreads and the headband.
Lollops into the wicket again. And the gentlest of turns played out to square leg. And the jog another single.
What's the women's T20 that's advertised on the side? It's the challenge.
Oh, yes, women's T20 challenge. That's happening around the time of the men's playoffs. So last few years there's been, rather than an actual women's IPL, there's been a there's basically a sort of semi-exhibition tournament between three teams. It's a very top, some of the top players in the women's game, but it's a bit of a weird halfway house between an exhibition tournament and a real IPL. Andre Russell is back for KKR.
Chris Gale is at least bringing some fielders up straight. That one was swept down to long leg. And just to finish off the picture, I know he's not, but Gale looks like someone who's wearing white trousers and black trainers. 2 runs needed to win, 9 balls to get them off. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break between games. Well, KL Rahul's taking his time to move the field around, as if it matters.
Generally not sure I can remember Chris Gale bowling in the IPL in the last few years.
He's bowled a couple. That was just a very floaty full ball. He's punched up to long on for the single, so 1 to win. Come on, put it in the stands.
Yeah, what's the... I guess losing it with a wide, I think, might be the most sort of symptomatic way for Kings 11 to lose this.
Or a bye.
Or a front foot no ball from Chris Gale.
Here he comes. Surely this will be it. Ryder just has to lift this over the infield.
Oh dear.
Oh, it's gone straight through the fielder. That's another option. Straight through the fielder at backward point. He's on his knees, and as Nakul says, he's rather symptomatic of Kings 11 letting that opportunity slip today. They'll have to wait another year. Oh, tears in the gallery there. But Chennai Super Kings have won the game by 9 wickets.
Yeah, really there's not a lot more to say. Kings 11 were not in the game in the field at all. It was far too easy for Chennai Super Kings to completely control the pace over the chase. Yes, they were defending a middling total, but there was no obvious sense that they believed they could win once that wicket was not given with the one that squirmed through Mandeep Singh's hands. And there's been a flatness about Kings 11 today. Ultimately, they left themselves too much to do with their start to the tournament. You shouldn't have to win 5 games.
I don't think they can complain. I think it would have been a bit much if they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they looked unbalanced at the start of the tournament. They looked top heavy at the start of the tournament, as they did last year. They look very reliant on their top 4. Maxwell,
they're not the only team you can say that about, to be fair, but they just don't really have the bowling either.
No, they don't. They have good new ball bowlers. Mohammad Shami's been very good with the new ball. Cottrell was effective with the new ball earlier in the tournament.
Not really.
Well, a couple of games, and then with the new ball, I'm saying, but their death bowling has been poor again. Not quite as catastrophically bad as last year, but still often poor. The leg spinners have been good. Ravi Bishnoi and M. Ashwin have been handy. They have hoped for more from Maxwell with the bat. They've got something out of him with the ball. I don't know, my Maxwell bias mitigates against me being too harsh on him, but they looked an oddly constructed team at the start of the tournament, and they kept themselves alive for much longer than I thought they might in this topsy-turvy season. But now now Kings 11, well, they'll stay 5th. The net run rate hasn't taken that much of a hit, but with Rajasthan and KKR playing in 20 minutes, Kings 11 are out of this year's IPL.
Yes, and Chennai Super Kings are temporarily off the bottom, and in fact if KKR lose, they'll probably stay off the bottom. But also for them, it's been a disappointing season. There were some circumstances. We still don't really know what happened with Suresh Raina and why he didn't play the tournament. He also lost Harbhajan, and more than most other teams, I think they have laid their plans about playing in specific venues in India, which was then whisked out from underneath them. Then again, you could argue that with a 25-man squad, you should be able to cover all bases. They didn't really do that.
No, too many players on whom they rely, not giving them very much this year. I think of Shane Watson. I'm not sure they should necessarily be relying on Kedar Jadhav. Dhoni's been a non-factor with the bat this year.
First season of IPL, Dhoni hasn't scored.
Yeah, and in the end, they basically only really started playing when they were out of the tournament.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap up here with just a short bed, and then we'll take a few minutes break just to reset things, and then come back for game 2, which is a massive game between KKR and the Rajasthan Royals, in which the Rajasthan Royals have won the toss and elected to field in Dubai. The winner has a chance of making the playoffs. The loser is done. And we'll be back with that in 5 minutes or so. But until then, thank you very much, Andy. We'll have Paul with us in not too long a time. Just have some music, why don't you? See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Guerrilla cricket, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Carol Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make.